And we are live. Welcome to the Political Orphans. My name is Nico and I am your in-house conservative. Normally, Rob Ambrose is our token lefty, but hey, he's been replaced by Jason D today. But he's still going to play the lefty role. And we're going to show you that a lefty and a righty can actually get along. And if we don't, you know what we do? It's a very crazy concept. We have a conversation like normal human beings. Because never forget, common sense has no political affiliations. What's going on, bro?
How you doing? And it's really weird that we we have to accept these labels for people to understand as a foundation where to launch off from, right? Because I'm very left leaning, but there's no label for what I am. You label yourself a conservative, but it's very, very hard to do that because your critical thinking skills is not a team sport, right?
Yeah. No.
Like
you know, the only reason I consider
Republicans, you're gonna have some lefty out there be like, well, you must be a sellout. You're a fake conservative, right? No, you're just a person that can think.
You know, I get hate from the left, I get hate from the right, both in Canada and the US. But what they all seem to forget or not understand is I'm a Christian above all. So my values don't come from a political party. If I agree with you, I agree with you. I'll be the first one to admit that somebody's right, no matter who you represent. But it also means I'll be the first one to call you out on your bullshit if I don't agree with you, because I don't work for a political party and I never will. That's why you can't see me in politics. I could not represent a party in politics. I'd have to run as an independent, and I have no intentions of ever doing that. At least not as we speak right now.
I think at some point, I think 10 years from now, you're going to get fed up and, maybe the Poly-Orphans podcast will take off and you'll have this huge following because people just want to vote for someone they believe in, and as far as labels go, I think if there's any label you want to wear with a badge of honor, it is Orthodox Christianity, right? Even non-Christians can appreciate 10 commandments that say don't cheat on your wife, don't steal, don't kill nobody, take a day of the week, and do nothing, right? I'm good at doing nothing. I'm, you might not be, but I'm great at doing nothing. I'm totally frigid, dude.
But you know what? I have included that in my life recently over the past year or so. Just Saturdays, I try not to do anything. Like Friday night, it's been my cheat day for more than 10, 15 years. And now I try to do the least possible from the Friday night to the Saturday night, almost like the Jewish, like the what's the real term for this? The Sabbath, the original Sabbath. But at the end of the day, normally when I do volunteering work, it's on Saturday because I'm like, the goal is just to think about others, not yourself. So
yes. Yeah. Well, Jesus actually healed.
What a concept, huh? What a fucking concept.
Yeah. Well, Jesus healed people on the Sabbath, right? There are exceptions to that rule, right? So, yeah, but I look forward to the show every week because I just want people who are honest with me. Clearly, you and I disagree on things, and Rob and I can go all day on the Khalil thing. But at the end of the day, I just don't want people who are saying something on camera but don't really, but mean something. Yep. Like you will never say anything about me when this podcast is over that you can't say on this podcast. And it is an honor, duty, and privilege to be on this show. I really enjoyed Andy Kaufman. How about Andy Kaufman? Right? We talked about that.
I was going to ask you.
It was the two highlights of my week were Murray and Dave Smith on Rogan's podcast, which I deserve an award for listening to that whole thing. That was cringeworthy. As far as debate skills are concerned, that was, yeah. And Andy Kaufman, who again, honest and a good faith actor. Is that comfortable calling him a good faith actor?
I don't know how else. I don't know how to describe that guy.
Nothing to gain. Well, I call him a guy that has everything to lose and nothing to gain. And those are the guys you want to give airtime. It's not a grift. What does he have to gain from, saying things that make people possibly want to ridicule him?
Nothing. Yeah. Nothing. In my opinion, nothing.
Yep.
He's just a good dude. Like I had spoken before with him. We went the spiritual route. Like we talked about a lot of stuff that we wouldn't talk on this podcast, obviously. But he's just a super nice guy. Like he's a very likable guy. No matter like what he stands for or not, he's hard to hate. Like he's just a likable person. and he's not worried about his opinion not being mainstream, right? He
Yeah.
can back it up. He's a very smart individual. When you talk with him, you understand why he irritates people, because he's hard to argue with. But I'm just happy that I get to introduce guys like him to Rob in front of an audience, because Rob and I are very different when it comes to, especially our views on medicine. We're very, very different. Our stance is very different, but he
Mhm.
still has a critical thinking mind that he can
Right.
be pursued, or at least he will listen no matter what. If he ends up agreeing or not, at least he'll listen. And I think that's a skill that a lot of the people on the left don't have anymore.
If you're talking about the DNC establishment, they have lost their
Yeah.
ability to think. There is a huge demographic, a spreading demographic of people who suffer from Trump derangement syndrome. I have huge issues with Trump, and specifically the last 7 days. But I think no, but I think if you're going to start an argument or a debate with someone, you have to hit a reset button and make sure the set of given circumstances that you start are actually given, right?
Mhm.
Like if you start the conversation, look, it's a fact you did this, it's a fact you did that. So let's move on. And then you're like, no, 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 it's not. That's not that. That second part where you said that's a fact, that's not a fact. So now it's fruit from a poisonous tree. So and that's where I think Rob struggles in the debate process. But where I value him is if I'm armed with the same information as him, I'm actually on his side. That's a
Yeah.
guy I want speaking for me. That's a warrior. That's my defense attorney if I'm ever up for, if I'm ever up for a crime. And Rob, I mean, this partnership the two of you have, I think there's certain things you bring to the table that are very good, and that's where I think he's fantastic.
Yeah, that's what my wife says too. Like, she likes the way we just are able to create
Mhm.
content together, because we banter all the time, right? We're also
Yeah,
like, I tease people all the time, and I rip into him like,
yeah,
this is hilarious, but he can take it, and he's able to dish it out even though we might not agree. So it's always a beautiful thing, if you ask me. But again,
yeah.
thanks for being here. Thanks for taking a spot. And for the people that are listening, just so you know, as a reminder, tonight 6:45 p.m. Eastern time, we will be covering the English version of the election debate that is taking place in Canada. So if you want to join us, it's going to be as formal as our show is every day. So not formal at all. It's just going to be Rob and I talking about, commenting on what's going on and what they're talking about. And if I could, I'd smoke a cigar, but
Yeah.
unfortunately my wife is pregnant. I can't do that.
Celebrate
But
it. A
the
little
point,
a little victory thing.
yeah, it's all about listening. It's kind of like a watch party. I think that's how I'll describe it, like kind of a watch
Yeah.
party. And we'll comment, we'll take your comments, we'll see what you think about what's going on right now, because man, it is a weird time in Canada. We are in
Right.
a very strange fucking time.
And
And
you got
yeah,
an election next week, don't you? The 28th?
it's the 28th. Yeah, on the
So you'll
28th.
do a
So
watch party for
definitely,
that too, I assume.
yep. Yeah, man, I'm going to BC. I'm going to be in Kelowna. I'm going to meet a guy by the name of Ten Kunz down there. He works for an organization that educate people on vaccination. So
Yeah.
we're gonna go create some content together. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. But I will still be covering the election with Rob. So the
Yeah.
Monday 28th, the episode will not happen at between 12 and 2, because I will be in a plane, and the episode at night is probably going to run for hours. So, but we will be doing an election coverage at night. So you can, instead of
Mhm.
getting 2 hours, you're going to get about 4 or 5 probably. So
Yeah, they would love that. Watch parties rock, especially with people they trust, you know?
but
We
that's what I want to do. I
people
want to make
trust
we
you,
want to
man.
make it entertaining and fun. Not like watching the news where everybody has a dick up their asses, and they can't give their, like, as much as they try and they give their opinion, they're not very pleasant to spend time with.
No, and there's no one more fun than watching you two fuckers
Well, see,
talk to each other and just the differences. It is oh man. Again,
it's gonna be
I'm a
interesting,
big
man.
fan and
It's
I watch as much as I can, as you can see. If I'm in
I
the
love
comment
it's great,
section,
man.
I'm watching.
Yeah, But you know what? It's a good episode. So hold on, just before I forget. So we have tonight, 6:45 p.m. We're gonna have the coverage of the debate on the 23rd, which is Wednesday next week. We will have a guy by the name of Caleb Betts. He is the host of the Awake and Winning podcast. I would argue he runs the biggest podcast in Canada. Like just on Instagram alone, I think he has 550,000 followers as a Canadian. It's a bit, and it's not even his other platform, but the guy's he spoke to the biggest name on this planet. So very politically savvy. So he's going to be with us to talk about the election, talk about politics, obviously. And he's a big fan of American politics. So we're going to be talking North American politics like we do here every day. And yep, we're going to be covering the election on the 28th. That being said, I'm happy that you're here today because there's a couple of things that came out that as a lefty, but not only as a lefty, but as somebody that lives in California, it's going to be pretty funny because there's a few things. There's a few things I want to cover. First, being that California is suing Trump over the tariffs. This is fucking. It's just hilarious. It's Gavin Newsom being Gavin Newsom. We have an update on Kilmar Abrego Garcia, which this is the guy that was deported to El Salvador, where I don't know where I stand on that one. Like Rob and I spoke about this, and there's new information that came out.
I warned Rob. That these things were going to happen, though. But go ahead.
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see. I'll play the videos. There's a couple of videos I wanted to see. I wanted to show. Sorry, there's an update. There's a judge. You know, the judge that had tried to stop the planes from even going to El Salvador, wanting them to come back. I got an update on him. I got an update on what's going on new information that was released by the Trump administration when it comes to Kilmar Abrego Garcia. And I also have a video about the senator of Maryland wanting to go over there. Like, that's interesting. I don't remember ever seeing a senator doing something like that, which I found to be very interesting.
Yeah, Gabbert's the only one I know.
Gabbert, but that's her style.
When they said Assad was gassing his own people, Tulsi Gabbard, along with another congressman whose name escapes me, went over there. I actually got picked up by Assad. You know, what the hell are you doing here? And then
she's a badass.
Next thing you know, she's talking to Assad. Next thing you know, everyone's calling her an Assad apologist. So the media, corporate media, shaped that story completely different. When, you know, and whatever party this guy from Maryland's from, I'm sure.
He's Democrat.
I'm sure the opposition is going to say he's an MS-13 apologist. Well, I mean, that's what's going to come from this trip, and that's a shame, and that's embarrassing for the Democrats and Republicans.
You know, as much as I disagree with most Democrats, I was happy to see a senator do that. As much as I can disagree or agree with what he's doing, like remove me from the situation, just to see a senator that is doing that went to El Salvador. Yep. I found it refreshing. As much as I might not like the guy, I might not agree with his policies, I still, if you're going to represent the people, do what's best for the people. It's hard to. I will agree with what he did. If I was, let's say that I was in a situation where my senator could do something to help me, I would want him to do it.
I think it's more about going and seeing if you can get a value from it, right? Like if I take a trip to Ukraine and I'm only going to talk to Ukraine officials and they're going to lead me to sites that fit their agenda, then I come back from my trip with a political and social bias, right? Mm-hmm. I didn't get to talk to Putin. I didn't get to talk to Russian soldiers. So, you know, I mean, the reason why people take these trips is because they need to have a full appreciation. Tulsi Gabbard, again, I go back to her, who by the way, at the time was also a Democrat, went there to talk to people Assad didn't talk to, and then wound up getting picked up by Assad. So it was a valuable trip because she got the 2-for-1 deal, right? So, you know, and it's not even worth the ticket that your plane ticket's printed on, the paper that it's printed on, if you're only going to go there and see one side, you know?
I agree.
So
I agree.
we'll see. We'll see. But like you said, the balls, the testicular fortitude, not to mention the dedication to his constituents, is nothing short of commendable.
And that's the way I see
Yep.
it. So I have a video
Yeah.
of him explaining what happened.
Yep.
There is,
Oh,
I want to show, do you remember Patty Morin, the mother of Rachel Morin, the girl that got murdered by an illegal immigrant? I believe it was in 2023. So she was
yeah.
at the White House
I do.
yesterday.
I remember it well. That and
Yeah,
Riley happened in tandem, so
yeah,
the names
yeah,
came to me
yeah.
in tandem, and
So she
I
was at
am
the White House
angry,
yesterday speaking
puffing
about
now.
this. Yeah. So I got a video of her speaking at the White House yesterday. And I also
Mhm.
have a refresher for the people out there that don't remember exactly who she is. They're not in politics the way that I am. I got a refresher, but very, very fucked up situation. It's a very, very, man, as a mother, I don't even know how you feel about this. I can't even imagine losing your daughter the way that she did. I also have something that hopefully this is funnier than the Patty Morin or the Rachel Morin story. It's what David Hogg said yesterday on the news. I For the people that don't remember who he is, I'll explain. He's the guy. He's a twat. Like, if you ask me, I cannot stand that guy. He is such a twat. But he just bothers me. He's just one of those guys. You know, in real life, I would smack him. Just like a little smack in the back of the head, but still, he is the vice chair of the DNC. His opinion supposedly matters. So
Yeah.
he said something on TV yesterday that I absolutely have to share because I posted about it already this morning. It's just, it's interesting to have you on because you're going to be able to tell me what you think as somebody that's more a Democrat than you are a Republican. Like, how do you feel about that's the DN that's literally the vice chair to the DNC. He's not just one of the guys. Like, he is literally, he has a massive role.
He's the vice chair of the
Democrat Party.
Democratic National Committee.
So he has a say, right? What
He's
he
a gun
says
control
actually
activist.
matters. Oh yeah. We also have obviously, as we do every day, because it's the Canadian election, we do have an update on the Canadian election. I have a couple of videos to show that are sad and funny at the same time. So yeah, I hope you guys are ready because we got a bunch of stuff to talk to you about. Obviously, as you notice, Rob's not there. Rob is he had a doctor appointment of some type. I think he's changing his sex, or he's confirming when his actual surgery is. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I don't
Well,
fucking
Rob's
know
a
what
real
he's
man.
doing.
He could have the sex change and still be here by the afternoon. So come on.
Yeah.
In any sense, ain't that a man?
Yeah.
No matter what sex you change to, that's a man.
Yeah. But
strong
yeah,
enough,
Rob,
strong enough to bear the children, then get back to business. Sorry, guys.
no fucking around, eh? So he's at the doctor's right now, but we'll be back tonight, 6:45, for the election debate that him and I are covering. But for now, you know what? We got a comment here. I will take that first. Stephanie Starbright is saying, even vacationers here, anyone in the US is supposed to have due process. So this has been horrifying to me. You are probably referring to Garcia's case. Yeah, no, I guess there's a bunch of them. And the video I have, one of the videos I want to show, talks about everything that's going on right now, not necessarily just Garcia, but I hear what you're saying, Stephanie. I spend a lot of my time, like I spent half my time in the US. So I hear you. But at the same time, we don't really have due process. As a visitor, if I do something wrong, I don't have a lot of process here. I'm just gonna get kicked out. And
and that's where Nico and I disagree, but I'd like you to I didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah, no, but it's okay.
I heavily disagree. Being read your Miranda rights extends to people who are vacationing here. It extends to green card holders and extends to visa card holders. Being read your rights. Now, there's an act passed in 1952 that Marco Rubio decided to arbitrarily enact that I thought the Supreme Court was going to strike down, which, by the way, turns out I was right, and Trump in the executive branch is choosing to ignore the interpretation of that said act. So, it was weird because I didn't see the point, but I guess I see the point now, because it didn't mean that it doesn't, like, Trump doesn't care what anyone says, and that's where he's gonna, he's gonna have a
That's
problem.
clear. That's clear.
Yeah.
Like, I think we can all agree on this.
Well,
Love him
when they
or
hold
hate
his,
him, he doesn't give a fuck. That's for sure.
when they hold his entire cabinet in contempt, and he tries to do this alone, he'll
Well,
care.
we'll see. We'll see, because I have the judge. I have the video I have is very interesting, because it talks about all the little aspects that are going on right now that kind of the Garcia case is exposing. So, Stephanie, again, I get what you're saying. This is where Jason and I disagree. But at the same time, I do believe in due process. So what is due process? Has it been? This is why I see the Mahmoud Khalil very differently than I see Garcia case. Like, my idea is made on the Mahmoud Khalil's case. The Garcia, I don't know, man. It's just a weird fucking case that I really still, to this day, I don't know how I feel about it. It seems right now it's missing information, or the information that's coming up, I'm not sure. It's something smells fishy. Like something smells bad.
Yeah.
And I don't.
There's something
I can't
rotten
put
in
my
the
finger.
finger.
There's something wrong, and I'll show you the video, and you guys can make up your own idea. But you know what? Let's start. Let's start right there. Actually, no, wrong. Let's start with Mr. Gavin fucking Newsom from California.
Good Lord.
He wants to sue, or he is suing Donald Trump over the tariffs, claiming that they are illegal, that he does not have the right to do what he's doing right now. And yeah, Gavin Newsom, being Gavin Newsom, is wasting his time trying to sue Trump over the tariffs. But of course, I have a video, and let's check it out, because Gavin Newsom, being Gavin Newsom, to me, he's fucking hilarious. He's a clown. But here's a video of Gavin Newsom telling us why he wants
everyone,
to sue
I'm
Trump.
Leslie Marin. Pat Harvey is off tonight. President Trump's trade war continues to cause chaos and confusion across the world. And tonight, Governor Newsom says enough's enough. He's suing Trump, claiming the president does not have the authority to impose tariffs that could cost Californians billions. KCAL News reporter Tom Waite here now with details on Newsom's suit and analysis on its changes.
Right. So we did speak with one expert who says that the suit does have a chance in court. So we'll see how it plays out, Leslie. Governor Newsom says Trump's tariffs are taking a wrecking ball to California's economy, hitting the state harder than any other. And he says Trump's actions are illegal, claiming the Constitution makes clear that Congress is in charge of imposing tariffs, not the president.
I always love your face, and I love the fact that you're in California. So that's why we're leading with this, because I know where you're coming from. But, I forgot to ask the question of the day, and I think I should ask it right now, considering the video we're playing. But have you guys both, and this is applicable to both Canadians and Americans on the show here, have you felt the weight of the tariffs yet? Have you seen a difference in your day-to-day costs when it comes to those tariffs? Because that's all we've been fucking talking about for a couple of weeks now. I'm fucking tired of talking about this shit. And I want to know, have you seen a difference? Have you seen the toll of those tariffs hurting your pockets yet? And you can answer the question before we continue the video. Okay, hold on. Has your Starbucks coffee went up in price?
The size went down. The size went down. Remember, this cup was bigger than this? The price went up. So every cup's going to be a little bit smaller thanks to Gavin Elroy Newsom. I don't even know what his middle name is. I don't care what his middle name is. Is it my turn?
Yes, go for it. Answer the question, please.
Let me take 3 seconds just to do this.
Exactly.
California is the 5th largest economy in the world, educating the Canadian and American audience. California, the last 4 years, has had the highest gas prices. California has had the highest inflation in grocery shopping, is 22%. Write that down so you can appreciate that. 1 out of 5, right? 22%. So gas went up. restaurants went up, shopping went up, everything, medical costs went up the last 4 years, right? And now he's hopping mad because if there's anything he won't tolerate, it's Republicans doing things that will raise the price and diminish the quality of life. Where I live in the mean streets of Hermosa Beach, California, life as a shorty shouldn't be so rough. Okay, this asshat, this human stain on the underwear of life, has extended his stay in California, where even other Democrats are saying, okay, it's time to come home, right? This man didn't say anything about protecting women's sports. Now, all of a sudden, he has a podcast. He loves protecting women's sports. This man didn't say anything about COVID lockdowns, but he loved COVID lockdowns because he got to celebrate at the French Laundry with his friends who none of them were wearing masks, and I'm pretty sure none of them were vaccinated. He loved locking down schools, but he didn't care because his kids went to private school and enhanced their education and got ahead of the curve while everybody else suffered. This person, and I like to blame this all on the Democrats, but I gotta blame it on the Republicans. 2 years ago, they knew that this man was at his wit's end, and they had a recall, and the recall worked, and the Republicans celebrated, and they said, "Yippee, yay!" And then behind closed doors, they're like, "So in the runoff, who are we going to pick to run against him?" And they went, "Oops, oh." We didn't think about that. How about that guy how about that black guy that thinks slavery was a good thing in America? Let's run that. Let's run that dude. So it was the first time that Republicans have a reputation of acting in haste and sometimes making the wrong decision, but they never sit on their hands and criticize people. And I couldn't believe you, not you, Nico, but you Republicans. Yeah. You did the hard part, and the easy part was just to have a mammal. Not a black guy that thinks slavery was a good thing to run against in California, right? Like
Anybody.
I'm not even talking about reparations, right? I'm talking about a polar opposite. So I'd like to table this because you definitely have a lot to say on this. Tariffs are a federal thing and not a state thing, and Gavin Newsom has no power. I'm hoping that the Supreme Court does the right thing. It's going to be a decision I don't like because I think Trump's a little buck wild with the tariffs right now, but because of the Constitution and the genius of it, they have to do the right thing. To my chagrin.
You know, since you bring it up, I want to show you this because I found a great video. Not a great video, but I was on Political's website this morning.
Nico. Strawberries were and the bottom of them were spoiled. I was at Vaughn's. I was like, "Fuck off, man!"
But hold on,
shit. You know,
it's gonna get worse. In the video, there, it's so much worse. But since we're talking about this, here is what the truth is before we even hear Gavin Newsom talk. Turns out that although the U.S. Constitution grants Congress the sole authority to levy tax, including tariffs, Congress has passed laws allowing the president to impose tariffs for national security reasons. And this was bipartisan. So it's not a Democrat or a Republican thing. This was passed by Congress on both sides of the aisle. And even if you look Politico, which very left-leaning, had this morning, they published an article and they were talking about this, and it is called the International Emergency Economic Power Act. That is a law that was passed about 50 years ago, but it is the first time that a president uses it, but because it falls under national security, he's allowed
it falls
to do
under
it.
the executive branch.
Exactly.
Right.
So as
Nico,
much as
once an act has been passed, sorry.
Yeah. No, it's just funny that you have Gavin Newsom say it's illegal. People on the left are believing him, and yet it takes you 5 minutes of research to show that he is incorrect, that he has the power to do what he's doing right now because he's calling it a national security. And even a place like Political, but Political.com is a left-leaning media, and they still say it. They're loud. They're like, "Hey, bro, do we agree with what he's doing? No. But the fact of the matter is that law exists. Congress passed it, and he technically has the power to do it." So it's
and Nico, I'd be a hypocrite if I'm saying one thing when it comes to Khalil and due
Yep.
process and what the law is,
Yep.
and be
Yep.
like, oh, screw the law, it's Trump. But what right? What
Yeah.
would we be if we're talking out of our ass? And I credit you for being consistent.
But that's what we see all the time, right? And that's my biggest gripe with the left. And I'm starting to see the same thing happening on the right. That's why I'm always going to be hated for my views, because my views don't change. I'm always going to be somewhere in the
Right.
fucking middle, basing it on common sense first and foremost. And unfortunately, common sense is no longer common. So let's just continue this video, because, man, we're 1 minute in. There's still a bit to go. But
Please.
you'll see, like,
Ooh, look
it's
at
just
that.
Gavin Newsom being Gavin Newsom, right?
President Trump's tariff war continues to drag down the markets. Now, after weeks of trillions of dollars in losses, Governor Newsom and State Attorney General Rob Bonta are taking the Trump administration to court, claiming Trump made up a fake national emergency to impose tariffs and that only Congress has the true power to raise taxes on imports.
A fake national security that even the Democrats have been speaking about since the 90s. Pelosi was talking about how this was a problem, that it would decimate the how do you call it,
Right.
the regular
You
people.
know he's
Fuck, man,
related.
I'm drawing a
You know
blank.
he's related.
Yes,
You know he's related to Pelosi, right?
yeah, through marriage. Yeah, I know. But it would decimate the middle class. She talked about it, but now that it's Trump doing it, it's a problem. This is always the bullshit with this. If Obama would be doing this, which he would have had the power to do, he would be
Right.
seen as, oh, he's doing the right thing for America. Like, that dude gets it. Let's figure out, okay, it might cause us some problems in the short term, but you know what? We'll be okay because this is the right thing to do. But because it's
Yeah.
Trump,
Obama was
nobody
a
likes
different
it.
set of circumstances, though, because Obama got into office when there was a stock market crash, and he,
Yeah.
I mean, unemployment was sky high, and I'm like, you're seriously going to blame Obama? The guy just got here, and you recognize that because Trump, before 7 days in office, everyone was blaming him for the price of eggs going up, and I'm like, okay, so when Trump wasn't president, the price of eggs is $5.99, right? And now that Trump's in office, the price is $6.15. That's like, Nico, you're getting hit. You got hit by a bus, right? I got hit
Yeah.
by a Mack truck, right? And you're like, oh man, getting hit by that bus hurt, but at least I'm not like Jason. A Mack truck, that's bad. What are we talking about here? I mean, geez. And I'm only testifying and only speaking for myself and my colleagues that I'm surrounded by. The prices there's no middle class in California anymore. They all moved to Texas.
Yeah, no
There
shit.
was an
Yeah.
exodus to Florida, an exodus to Texas, an exodus to Colorado, which is also not very cheap to live, away from it because this state has become
Yep.
not marketable. I'm a UFC fan. Dana White, who's the president of UFC, called California or LA not a marketable city. And he would love to do some shows in LA because he likes to travel. He'll even do Madison Square Garden, which by the way costs $900,000 to turn the lights on, right? But he'll do a show there, right? But he called California not a marketable city. And who's been in charge of this city, our state, the last 8 months? The Mr. Totalitarian, Mr. I claim I want freedom, but I want to take your freedoms away. Mr. Not for me, but for thee. Some balls. This guy took a picture during COVID with Magic Johnson with both masks off. And if there's a poster board for the immunocompromised, can you think of a better
Magic
candidate
Johnson.
than Irving
Nope.
Magic Johnson? Man, this he's got nice hair, and that'll get him in the race. But I wanted to say lastly, we know what this is about. He's spending the next 4 years talking why Trump is wrong because the Democratic strategy, which is going to fail again. And I'm sad because I want to see a lefty win here and there. That's going to fail again because it's the economy, stupid. You got your liberals in Canada right now are running on, we might suck, but we're not Trump, where the conservatives are running on, it's the economy, stupid. And the polls are saying the liberals are going to win, but what are we,
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Not
I mean,
gonna
the only
happen.
pole I want to see is a girl with giant tits and a big booty and G-strings swinging around. I don't want to see this pole. I don't want to see these poles anymore. You know, I don't even
Um,
like strip joints, and I'd rather look at that pole.
Can't blame you, brother. Can't blame you.
Did
But
I get you far?
you know what's interesting though is that Gavin Newsom is clearly positioning himself to run for president in 2028. Obviously, that's what he wants. And
It's hilarious.
now, but now, you know what's even more interesting is that Kamala Harris, it was being talked about, I think yesterday night or this morning, was talking about because that's it. Jason just walked away. For the people that are listening to this, they're not watching it. Jason just stepped away. But you know, bro, the thing is that obviously he's positioning himself to be popular for the next election.
Right.
We thought that Kamala Harris might run again because we didn't have a front runner for the DNC. But now she seems to want to become governor of California. Can you, man, it's, if you can read the sky there, it's pretty obvious what's going on. He's going to step down. She's going to replace him. He's going to run for president. And can you imagine him and AOC on the same ticket?
And she's gonna win because the Republicans, they have a strategy to bring her down. Okay, she's a
AOC, you mean?
She's a draconian candidate. She is an establishment hack. She got forced down our throat, right? She didn't get one delegate when she ran in 2019 and in 2020. Even Bloomberg got a delegate from Isle of Samoa, right?
You're talking about Kamala Harris, right?
Yes. Look,
Yeah.
they're like, okay, you don't want her for president? Tough shit. She's VP. You don't get to choose, right? You don't want to have you want to have an open primary? No, tough shit. That's our girl. So she's been in multiple occasions. We agree. You see the pattern. It's her turn. And once again, you have the DNC telling their constituents, your children, you don't know any better. We're going to do this for you. Where the Republicans were the people told Ted Cruz, Marco Rubio, little Marco, lying Ted, fat, whatever that fucking New Jersey guy is, I forget his name, the guy laying on the beach like a whale. You see him laying on the beach, you're like, oh my God, free Willy, right? If he broke his leg, fucking gravy will pour out, right? Right? That dude says, I wanted to go to the airport, I want to fly. They'll stamp Goodyear on his ass and put him on the fucking runway. But the people of the United States of America told that fat ass, that liar, and that little bitty Marco, this is our guy, and you got to get on board now, or he will fuck you when he's elected. And that's what happened. All three campaigns. And we need a Democrat. We need the last time we had someone like that, Barack Obama. We believed in him because it was Hillary's turn, and when he beat Hillary, everybody's like, "Oh wow." The people spoke, and whether you believe that or not, whether you got honey dicks, right, or sold a bill of goods, I believed it. I lived in Harlem when he won. It was, no black person went to work on Wednesday. We already said on Tuesday night, everyone already told their boss that they're like, right. Yo, we're taking a personal day or a sick day tomorrow, right? We ain't coming to work tomorrow because we know a junior senator is going to beat John McCain. And I didn't want to veer too far off. I was just trying to make a point of what the media is telling you and what the people are trying to say are infinitely different.
But there's a reason why, because guys like him are allowed to lie and not be challenged, right? Because
where the hell is Congress? Where the hell is Speaker Johnson? Do your job.
Trump does not have the authority to impose these tariffs. He must be stopped.
Newsom and Bonta announced the lawsuit while visiting an almond farm in the Central Valley. The owner of the farm says Trump's tariffs are taking a crushing toll on her business that she's run with her brother since 1998.
Will we be able to access what we need to grow our crops? And if so, will we even be able to afford it?
Meanwhile,
so for the people out there that don't know, I was a vegetarian and a vegan for 12, 13 years. So I know all about fucking almond milk because I drank that shit when there was nothing else available. And just to put it into perspective, this is how idiotic California is. They have a drought problem. The water, their main source of water is the Colorado River. That does not come from California, obviously. But just so you know, they had to choose a fucking almond farmer without even thinking that it takes 1.1 gallon of water for one to grow one single almond. And it takes 1,600 gallon of water to produce 1 liter of milk. And their main problem is Trump's tariffs. Are you fucking kidding me? You're fucking wasting water by 1,600 gallons to produce 1 fucking gallon, 1 liter of almond milk. Yet you don't talk about this when what happened to LA? You know when it burned last time? When LA fucking burned, there was a water shortage. The firemen can access water, but it's okay for farmers, for almond farmers, to use 1,600 liters of fucking water to produce, 1,600 gallons of water to produce 1 liter of almond milk.
Yeah.
You know, it goes to what you were saying earlier. We're so fucking, we're focusing on the wrong things here. The problem is not Trump's tariffs. California was fucked way before Trump came president. Same way as Canada was fucked. In Canada,
pretty
the
much
economy has not, yeah, exactly my point. Trump did not
Yeah.
fuck up the economy in Canada. As much as I don't like the tariffs that he's putting on Canada, which he really didn't do anything yet, I don't like it. Plain and simple, I don't like it because we should have a better partnership between the two of us. But at the same time, it's 10 years of liberal government that fucked our economy, not the bad orange man that's been in power for 11 weeks or 12 weeks now.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
what the fuck are
California,
we
we had
saying?
Arnold Schwarzenegger too, right? Come on.
No, but that's my point.
he was an
You
idiot
guys are
liberal
similar
that
to
ran
California.
as a Republican.
Yeah, but you guys are in the same like you've had more than a decade of bad policies on top of bad policies on top of bad policies, just like Canada, very similar to Canada. And then instead of looking at your leaders, like guys like Gavin Newsom, that's responsible for most of this shit, we're like, oh, it's Trump's fault. Trump's fault. It's Trump's fault. Let's blame Trump. Like, are you fucking kidding me, idiots? Like, Trump is not the one that fucked your economy
California
up.
should
He
be
didn't.
ashamed.
Canada should be ashamed too. This is why I found this to be very interesting. You have a guy like Gavin Newsom that's basically blaming Trump for his tariffs. You've been fucking up your country for what, 8 years now? Gavin Newsom's been there.
State, yeah.
So
Mhm.
what the
Well,
fuck are you saying,
Nico,
bro? Like, what the fuck are you saying, bro? Like, fuck.
here's speaking only for California, not for Canada. If with the right leadership, California can be self-sustainable and not need anything from anyone. You want to put out a fire? We're next to a goddamn ocean, okay? You don't have to use fresh water to put out fires. You can actually use salt water to put out fires, right? We're next to the Pacific Ocean, this beautiful, this huge thing that makes me feel tiny, right? We are the biggest exporter of oil. Right. We've been giving oil to India and other countries, and they've been selling it back to us 60 cents on the dollar. We actually have more oil production than the Saudis do. So California, whether you're going to go oil, whether you're going to go solar, we can do that too. Whether you're going to go sustainable energy, we can do that too. When it comes to growing our own stuff, California has their own no compete brands. We can secede from with the right leadership. We're the 5th largest economy in the world. We can literally be our own country, and
you have access to the Pacific directly.
And like you just said, between Arnold Schwarzenegger, where all he did was like bankrupt the state, bang his nanny, and leave, and this guy who just has good hair and a smile, has done nothing to help, and I only see instances where he's hurt. Give me 3 things this man has done to help what bill has this man signed to help the state? I got to ask my friends who bleed blue, because I'm blue, but I don't bleed blue. And they can correct me. I'm cool. I'll read something. I'll be like, hey, that makes sense. I forgot that one. All right, you're right. But I can't. I'm a prisoner of the moment, and I'm upset, and I'm leading with my feelings right now, and I don't like it, and I don't like him.
I found it to be very interesting, and that's why I wanted to play, because the video goes on and on, but we get the gist of it, right? But it's very similar to what's going on in Canada. This is why this example is very strange, is very repetitive to me, because we really it's almost like Canada, and it seems to be the same in California. We have Stockholm syndrome. It's like we completely forget that the people in power are the one that's been fucking us for a decade. And instead of looking to our leaders and saying, like, what the fuck are you guys doing?
Yeah.
We want to blame a guy that just came into power for all of our problems. He wasn't there 10 years ago. Like, it wasn't him. He's not the one that's been fucking my country for 10 years. He's not the one that's been fucking your state, the state of California, for 10 years. And yet there's a lot of people on the left that are just like, keep on voting for those people. Like, are you kidding me? Like, what the fuck are you guys smoking? This is the part I really don't understand, because accountability, man. When you say that you guys could be self-sufficient, like in Canada, we should be top 3 superpower in energy. We should be an energy superpower.
Dude,
by far.
yes.
Like, we have the power to become
What?
one of the largest economy. We have the power to become one of the richest countries on the planet. Yet we have fucking leaders that want to leave our oil in the ground. Like, are you fucking retarded? Like, what the fuck is going on? As much as
Trump, at least with Trump, we could use the word retarded again.
yeah, but you know, I can understand that people, and we can argue about this one. Like, I understand why people don't want to burn gas as much as we do right now. They want to reduce it because one day they want to go to a green. They were sold the idea of green energy, right? I believe in the best type of energy depending where you are. If gas is available, fucking dig. If solar is a possibility,
100%.
fucking
Baby,
build
drill.
solar. Yeah. If geothermal is possible where you are, fucking geothermal. If nuclear makes more sense, fucking go nuclear. But right now, we don't have a choice to dig. In Canada, we use oil. In the US, you use oil. So until we stop using it, drill. But then we have a fucking PM right now that does not want to build pipelines, and he wants to leave the gas in the fucking ground. And it blows my mind. I don't understand how people don't understand those simple facts that you can believe in climate change all you want. There's no moving away from energy. We need energy. And if the only thing that's possible right now is oil and gas, guess what? Oil and gas. Because I don't see any of those fuckers wanting to give away their cell phones and give away their internet and not heat their houses. Like, I don't see that anywhere. Like, they're very good at, hey, climate change, just climate change. Have you changed your life yet? If you believe that this shit is real, do you live in the woods yet? Like, do you not use energy anymore? Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
yes.
for the time being, we don't have a choice. Drill.
Right.
Plains.
Well, I mean, if you're talking about the people who are being sold this, right? They have to make these decisions in their minds that don't exist. Do I give up my iPhone? Do I do this? Do I do that? But if you're talking about the people that are selling this, it's even worse.
Yep.
Right? Does Bill Gates give up his yacht? Right? Mr. Climate Change has a yacht. Which, by the way, as far as emissions are concerned, and or like methane is equivalent to like 150 cars, right? Bill Gates has a private jet. Right, he's not flying coach. He's not even. I would even respect him if he flew first class, because it's with other passengers and it's one plane ride and it's less whatever. So, are we talking about the people who are the consumer who has a decision to make, or are we talking about the people selling us this bullshit? And you're right. You're right about what you said about energy and necessity and environment. Like Hawaii, Woody Harrelson lives next to Willie Nelson. And they smoke weed all day and watch the sun rise and set. And they both their houses are 100% solar powered. It's Hawaii, and that makes sense. So,
bro, when I lived in the woods,
right?
When I lived in the woods, that was my next step. If I was going to if that was the only thing that I was missing in order to be 100% self-sufficient.
Well, you will move
it was
to the
possible.
Woods. Sorry.
Oh, eventually, of course, I will go back.
No, you will. I want to interrupt. You will move to the woods if they find a way to make solar energy sustainable, or like as far as storage is concerned. If you can store it,
yep,
you're
it's
going to
battery.
Yeah, you're going to be hunting for it. You're going to have a venison refrigerator.
But at the same time, you need to adapt and see, and this is always the part that they never talk about, is you need to adapt your lifestyle to fit the technology that you plan on using. You can't expect, if you're going to live solar and you're not necessarily like Woody Nelson or Harrelson with all the money in the world, you might need to adapt what you're using, because you can't afford to waste one bedroom on a stack of battery that's extremely expensive, right? Most people don't have that not only the space but the money to do that, because those batteries are not cheap. But the technology exists if you want to adapt your lifestyle to it.
Right.
Like, I remember living in the woods. I was heating. I had a really nice, we got a brand new wood oven that would heat at least 2,000 to 3,000 square feet. That shit was fucking good. I heated my place on wood. In the morning, man, I would read every morning. I'd get up around 3-4 o'clock in the morning. I'd read for an hour or two. I would read at candlelight. I'd be sitting in my living room, no lights open, middle of the woods, candlelight, read my book. So there's ways to make this happen, but all the people that are always complaining about this shit are not ready to make the changes that they need in order to make this a reality. So until that day, fuck you, drill.
Well, in their defense, there are people cutting corners a little, right? You're like, why does someone has this expensive cell phone? But I need you to consider that they made the choice of the phone, but they cut corners other places. Like they don't have cable, they're not paying monthly cable, so they cut the cord on that, right? So they are, you know what I'm saying, they're not eating out twice a week anymore. They're trying to shop for cheap and this and that, because they made a decision that the phone can be their computer, so now they don't need a desktop, right? Or the phone can be their cable network. So, but if they're going to have the minimum wage stay the same, which is the federal minimum wage has stayed the same since 2009. And we both know inflation since 2009 to the present has gone up every year. You're not being fair to the not you, but we're not being fair to the general people. What you're saying is if we raise the minimum wage, then inflation goes up. But what they're not telling you is if they don't raise the minimum wage, inflation's going to go up. So, but I agree with you. Some of these people don't be running up $30,000 credit cards, man. Don't live beyond your means, man, because those bills if you leave the bill alone, it ain't going to pay for itself. My telephone bill, right? If I decide not to pay a month later, guess what? It's not like someone paid it for me, right? It's going to be worse.
But people are always ready to tell others what to do, but they won't stop. They won't change their lifestyle because they just don't want to.
No,
and that applies to the top and the bottom, right?
Right.
Everybody's like that.
But what I will not tolerate is someone like having 20 cookies on the table. You have the wealthy that has 18 cookies. They give 2 cookies to the middle class, and then they tell the middle class, the working poor are coming for your 2 cookies, while they're sitting chilling with the 18 cookies, right? So there's this weaponization of this generationally wealth. 33% of the United States of the wealthy here inherited it, right? So
man,
so all of their companies can go under, and we can have the Hunger Games 10 years from now. They're going to be fine.
That's the prince from Machiavelli right there. That's the principle has been there for hundreds and hundreds of years. So, but it sounds
like such a socialist, don't I?
No, it's not that because there's definitely a problem. The monetary system is not the problem. Like capitalism is not the problem.
No,
is the people running it that are the problem. So that's the thing, right? People always argue with me, capitalism is the problem. No, that's not the problem. Capitalism, the free market, is the best system that we can think of right now. The problem is that the power that you give to industries, the power that you give to corporations, those powers are crazy because they control everything. It's Jacob, I believe it's Jacob the Rothschild that said that I care not who runs the country as long as you let me print their money. And this is where it lies. Because if you go back to the greenbacks, which haven't been around forever, but that's why your money is called the greenbacks. it was produced by the government, and the inflation was not existent because there was only enough money for people to trade, for people to get paid, for people to be able to purchase goods and services. But we're talking about more than 150 years ago. Like, it's been a very fucking long time since you guys had greenbacks. But back then, the economy was ran in a way that it was for the people, not for people to get rich off of printing money at an interest. Either way, we're going down a rabbit hole. It's just something I absolutely love.
The wealth got socialism.
Yep. So Cheryl's saying, hey, Nico and Jason, what is going on,
Cheryl?
Cheryl?
What's good, Cheryl?
Now,
glad to be with y'all today.
Let's move on to a different video. This one is, again, this one kind of bothers me. I don't know how it's not even logical. This we're talking, obviously, we're talking about Garcia, Kilmar. How do you pronounce his middle name? Like, hold on.
If I see the name, I can pronounce it.
Abrego.
Right. Abrego, yeah.
Kilmar Abrego Garcia is the man that was supposedly illegally or wrongfully, I think is the word that's being used, wrongfully deported to El Salvador. There's been some updates, which there's the judge that actually put it into place, or that actually told the Trump administration to stop the flight, bring him back, is saying that there are probable cause, that it is possible to go after the Trump administration. So I have an update on that. I have an update on what's going on with Garcia himself. So here's a video from NBC covering a massive amount of information, and it's only like 4 minutes long. So here's the video. We'll talk about it. We'll pause it as necessary, but it's just to give you an update.
Immigration arrests like these playing out across the country, a federal judge now says the Trump administration is crossing a line with its mass deportations. After those controversial removal flights to El Salvador last month, Judge James Boasberg slamming the government for failing to comply with his court order to temporarily halt the planes, writing, "Probable cause exists to find the government in criminal contempt."
The idea that one branch of government would ignore the orders of another is something we haven't seen in our nation's history.
The judge writing, "The Constitution does not tolerate willful disobedience of judicial orders," adding that disobedience would make a solemn mockery of the Constitution itself. The White House says it will appeal. A separate legal case involves one of those deportees, Kilmar Abrego.
And you know, they'll appeal, they'll decide in court what is right, what is wrong. I wish that I had a constitutional lawyer on hand. As we grow, I'm sure I will find one to just show up for 10 minutes and explain, just say, what did we hear there? Is it right? Is it wrong? But there's definitely, the judge is planning on challenging Trump or Trump's administration for what they did. And you know what? We'll see. This is just too early to talk. Both of us are not lawyers. We'll see what happens with this. But the part that, again, that bothers me is the way that guy was deported. I don't see due process, which, again, this is where the difference in my head between Mahmoud Khalil and this guy. There's a process that's going on with Mahmoud Khalil. He still has, I think, almost a month to appeal.
Yeah.
To figure out the next step. Oh, no, this is worse. This is so much worse because that guy now,
disagree more.
Bro, that guy is in fucking prison, in El Salvador prison right
now.
Oh,
yeah. No, in that respect, yeah. Whoa. Yep.
Oh, yeah. This by far, I'd much rather be in a detaining center in Louisiana than El Salvador's mega prison.
You're right. There's a difference between how you got there and where you are now. I got to agree with you on that.
Yeah. This is where I'm saying this is fucked. This is really fucked because of where he is. Now, we'll continue. We'll provide the update when it comes to what's going on right now, but I just wanted to put some context that the judge is planning to do something. But now here's an update on Abrego Garcia's case as a whole. And let's see where it's going, because there are some new updates that were provided by the Trump administration yesterday.
Abrego Garcia, the man the Justice Department initially acknowledged was
I don't want to be there.
Sent to El Salvador. The Supreme Court ruled the Trump administration should facilitate Abrego Garcia's return to the U.S. But today, after days of requests, the administration released a document from 2019 stating how an informant allegedly identified Abrego Garcia as a member of the violent gang MS-13. even giving his rank and nickname.
When Kilmar Abrego Garcia was originally arrested, he was wearing a sweatshirt with rolls of money covering the ears, mouth, and eyes of presidents on various currency denominations. This is a known MS-13 gang symbol.
Abrego Garcia's family denies he's a gang member, and he's never been criminally convicted. Democratic Senator Chris Van Hollen of Maryland went to El Salvador.
So that's the new update. Just came out yesterday. I haven't heard anything more than what was presented today. Like what I just presented, as in supposedly that in 2019 there was allegations towards Garcia that he was part of an that he was related somehow to the MS-13 gang. Right. And up to now, that's all we got, a document from 2019. But there's another piece of information at this end of the video that I've only heard there. Never heard about that before. But this, if this is true, that could give that could give the power to Trump's administration to get rid of him. If that is indeed true. Again, don't have that information yet. It's still early, but I will make sure, guys, to produce updates every single time there's something new about this case, because it's a fucked up one. It's a fucked up one.
You know, my mom worked for Paul Weiss for 32 years, so we can get a constitutional lawyer. But I also Nico, I also have to defend us that this show, we can't have a constitutional lawyer without a first take. Right? We can't have an attorney on this show giving us the answers, and we didn't even have questions. So, and this is the genius of this podcast. This is the genius of podcasts like Rogan and the Option Podcast, which I'm a part of. You have to pose the question, and you have to shape the question in a way where A, we can answer together, or B, defer to the people that have the answers. So for the audience listening, it's very important, before people say you're not a lawyer, first takes. Lawyers are not going to ask themselves questions they already know the answer to. It will be an empty, generic, superficial podcast. So, but in this respect, even more recent news, Nico, it's also found that this guy had a restraining order from his wife for domestic abuse. In 2021. Was that the next clip or something?
It. Thanks for ruining it, asshole.
Well, then tell a dude. You put me on this show. Don't even tell me what it's about.
But
I'm here at the seat of my pants. You're lucky I got superior debate skills, right? I don't know what you're
But this is what I was telling you before you jumped on the show, when we were talking prior, is that you're aware of what's going on. So this kind of proved my point right there. I'm never here to do gotcha moment with people and make them look stupid. I just know that you're already aware, and what you're talking about is exactly the last part of the video. So let's continue, and then we can talk about it afterwards.
Yeah, sorry.
Today, to push for Abrego Garcia's release, but was denied a meeting with him.
This is about due process. This is about not letting people be just whisked off the street, which the Trump administration admits was done in error.
Late today.
By the way, that was Senator Chris Van Hollen from Maryland. He tried to go visit Garcia in El Salvador. I got another video afterwards of him speaking about what happened, but I just wanted to provide some context. And this also connects. Who we're seeing here is Patty Morin, the mother of Rachel Morin, which we will talk about in the next segment. Her daughter was murdered by an illegal immigrant, or an illegal as a whole, almost 2 years ago. But I'm just providing context because this video, man, is covering so many of the topics that are in the news right now. They actually did a solid job on this video.
It's the gift that keeps on giving.
Highlighting the story of Patty Morin, whose daughter Rachel was killed
so
by an undocumented immigrant.
These are the kind of criminals President Trump wants to remove from our country.
The Trump administration is promising deportations will ramp up. Outside Boston, the woman inside this car says ICE officers used a hammer to break a window in order to drag out her husband, an undocumented immigrant who has no criminal record.
Can we stop with this? This is something that bothers me. Undocumented immigrant. You mean an illegal? Like, can we stop calling them undocumented? If I were to go to the U.S. and pass my 6 months visitor visa and stay there and hide from the authority, I wouldn't be undocumented. I'd be a fucking illegal. Can we stop with this shit? That's the only thing that really bothers me in this video. Oh, he was Can't believe that they broke the window to catch my husband, which is undocumented. No, he's an illegal. He shouldn't be there in the first place. Sorry. Sorry, not sorry. Like, can we stop with this shit?
Surveillance video shows plainclothes officers tackling a Venezuelan man as he arrives in a New Hampshire courthouse, knocking over another man in the process.
That looks bad. That looks really bad.
Outrage over immigration now spilling into contentious town halls, including one held by Chuck Grassley, the most powerful senator on the Judiciary Committee.
Are you going to bring that guy back from El Salvador? Yeah. Why not?
Well, because that's not a power of Congress.
Supreme Court said to bring him back.
While in Georgia, police tasered 2 protesters at an event held by Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Bye. Just like that illegal alien. Bye.
All right, Gabe joins us now live. Gabe, let's go back to that man deported to El Salvador. I know you have new reporting tonight on his past.
Yes, Tom. In 2021, a protection order was issued against him in a domestic violence case. The case was closed when his wife did not show up for court. As for the gang allegations, his attorneys have repeatedly questioned the credibility of that confidential informant.
You know, this to me sounds very fucking interesting. So remove the MS-13 from the equation because it just sounds weird. That part, we can debate it until we're blue in the face. We have no idea. The lawyers are saying it's wrong. The evidence just turns out to appear yesterday. Whatever. Not even worth the debate. That part, though, that's the left saying that, and his lawyers are not debating that there was an alleged case of violence between him and his wife. As a man that knows the law, I understand that you can literally pick up the phone tomorrow, and my wife could pick up the phone tomorrow and say, I've done something wrong. I'm fucked. I am fucked. So I am not saying that he did it. What I'm saying is nobody seems to be disputing it. And funny enough, yesterday, Rob was showing a video of his wife trying to get us emotional about bringing him back. And I started laughing. And I think I caught Rob by surprise because I was telling him about her that she was so unsincere. Like if I had been put in an El Salvadorian prison in which her husband is in, and that's the speech my wife would have gave to try to get me out of there, I would have been fucking irated. Like I would have been pissed off. Like that's the best you got.
It's like, bitch, not you could do better than
that. Not a tear, no nothing. And yesterday I was just booing her, like boo, boo. And now today I'm listening to this. I'm like, I hear that part. I'm like, ooh. If this is true, let's assume for a second that there was a problem with domestic violence between the two of them, and it seems their lawyers are not disputing that. Is that why her speech was so bad yesterday? Is that why she seemed not to be bothered? Like she couldn't be fucking bothered to try to get her husband back. Like it really sounded like, hello, my husband is currently held in El Salvador. This is not a good thing. Here is why. Like, if that's the best you got, I would be, just leave me there. If my wife and kids can be fucking bothered to try to defend me, I might as well just fucking stay there. So if you put them together, I'm like, I look at psychology and the behavior of people. I'm like, is that why? Like that little piece made it very interesting about my comment that I was making yesterday prior to knowing that there seemed to have been some violence between the two, or at least one of them believes so. I'm not saying there was, but it's interesting. Just saying.
I'd like to start from the present because it seems to be the most interesting. Like when you're reading a statement, right? And when someone wrote a statement for you to read, if you're unable to perform that, in oration, and if you don't have the oration skills to do it, it does sound fake, it does sound phony, and it does sound fixed. And I'm not saying that she does care or doesn't care, but I do. She doesn't have the gift of gab like you would see from a politician or like someone like me, who went to school for theater performance, who can read anything and make everything sound real and believable, right? I'm glad that you pointed out the restraining order because there was no actual conviction and there was no court case. But restraining orders are usually consistent with A, stalking, or B, some form of abuse, albeit domestic, physical, could have been psychological abuse, right? We don't know, but you and me can look at each other and be like, we can kind of put two and two together and say this. So now I think she was cold and warm about it because she probably doesn't want him around, but at the same time doesn't believe that the penalty for his transgressions should be in El Salvador in prison, right? I mean, we don't want an illegal alien getting pulled over for speeding and Trump decides he's undocumented, so he deserves to go to El Salvador and be lined up with those wild pictures you and I saw, right? Second, I like your term illegal because this man wasn't undocumented. He was documented. And what the news didn't tell you, because this is why you have me here. I'm going to tell you what the news didn't say, right? No, because we establish facts, right? And then we take off from what we believe are facts and we're armed with that information. But we should have added this to the foundation. From 2021 to the present, the ICE has interviewed this man. He went to the ICE office to interview him to see where he is, where his status was, how, are you staying out of trouble? So the ICE going to this car and breaking the guy's window was stupid to me for two reasons. One, the ICE traditionally doesn't break into situations where they can be harmed. That guy could have been armed in a car. You don't see you don't see the ICE breaking into people's houses anymore because if they're right, if it is MS-13, right, they might not be wrong to be like, hey, you can cuff me. No, they're gonna be like, I got an automatic weapon and come get some. So the ICE lately has been doing these street abductions, which you and me find weird, but in their defense is the safest thing for them to do because the person's alone. The person doesn't have people with them. The element of surprise where if they're armed, you can neutralize them. So
those knock invasions are dangerous. Like those knock Warren at a home. Yes. I'm a gun owner, bro. I don't know who's knocking and breaking my door. The gun's getting loaded and I'm fucking shooting.
So my argument is he is. Yeah, right. Woo, yeah, yeah.
And now I shot some police officers.
I can picture that. Do that to a gang member, right? We're coming in. All right, I'm reloading my shit. You do your thing, man. You do your thing. I'm reloading.
Yeah. So I understand, like you said, I understand why they do it in a very public setting because you're not ready for this. You don't have the same
leaving the house. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Getting out of your car. Gotcha. So
that part we agree.
But I believe the whole breaking into the car thing was staged because ICE has interviewed this man once every year. So if you're interviewing him once every year, you knew about the restraining order, you knew about the alleged domestic abuse case because that was 2021. So timeline wise, from 2021, at least once a year, which really means 3 times a year, this man has gone into the ICE office for an interview. Yeah. So, and this is where this is murky, and I swear I'm going to leave the Khalil thing alone because me and Rob went at that ad nauseum, but it's one of those things where I think you're trying to do the right thing. You get these gang members off the street. We don't want gang members taking over whole apartment buildings. Colorado, right? MS-13 took over a whole building, and no one did, and it's in the news, and no one's doing anything. Those you're not going to go after those people, but you're going to go after this guy who might have been a gang member, but might have been trying to get out that gang, right? You're going after this woman with the hijab who wrote a paper against Israel. You're going after Khalil who 2 days before he got arrested had a candlelight dinner, a Passover dinner with Jews and Muslims, right? So I think going after some of these people and deporting some of these people who represent terrorism is the right thing. But in Republican fashion, they act in haste and they make shitloads of mistakes that bite them in the ass.
It's just a this case is very interesting. Now, as per the last part, and we'll leave it at that, but is it because the way ICE was ran by the Democrats, they were too soft? Or is it, do you see what I'm saying? Like, it could
Right.
be thrown so many different ways. If I'm just playing devil's advocate or I'm trying to
Right.
go at it from a common sense perspective, I know how liberals and Democrats are extremely soft on crime, extremely soft on crime.
Right.
So is it because ICE was ran a different way, and now that Trump is here, he's like, okay, you know what? Fuck this shit. I'm not dealing with those people at all. If there's an assumption, if there's a possibility that they were violent with their family, and again, I'm not debating the MS-13 one because I don't know. I can only trust what they're saying or distrust what they're saying. But both sides seem in agreement that there was something that happened between wife and husband, Garcia and his wife. Is that good enough? I think it would be.
Not for
Let's
Trump.
assume that it's true. But, no. But what I'm saying is, if you have a green card and there's violence between you and your wife, that must be enough for you to bye-bye. Now, let's assume that this is
being
true.
an illegal alien is enough to bye-bye. You're here illegally in the country.
But that guy
That's
was
a
not an
bye-bye.
illegal. Oh, but this is a different thing. That guy's not an
Right.
illegal. Like, he had a work visa. He was here legally, married, have kids.
Oh,
He's not a citizen, but he had a valid work visa. So that guy was here legally. That's why I want to see due process with this guy, because he's not an illegal immigrant. Now, the
Right.
question is always like, was ICE too soft on him? Should he have been removed in 2021? Is that what the problem is? Or what the fuck's going on right now? Because if that's true, and again, I know I've said it 10 times, but I'll repeat it. This is the only part of this whole case that both sides are not are in agreement. Something happened between him and his wife where his wife went to the police but didn't show up to court. Nobody's fucking denying that. Cool. Let's go here because nobody's debating it. So if we go
I think
here,
that's a given circumstance everyone can agree on.
yeah, and I look at, like, I will give you 2 seconds of this video, and it's you and I as we're talking, I came up with this because I did not think about that when I actually watched this video this morning. But this is the video that Rob showed yesterday, and yesterday I was saying, could she be less emotional? Like, could she be? If that's the person that needs to bring me back, I would be fucking pissed.
Right.
Continue through Holy Week. My heart aches for my husband, who should have been here leading our Easter prayers. Instead, I find myself pleading with the Trump administration and the Bukele administration to stop playing political games with the life of Kilmar.
All right, CNN's Priscilla Alvarez.
It's just so unemotional. She could not be bothered. So yesterday I was laughing at this as in, whoa, Jesus, I would be mad if that was my wife. If that's all she got, if that's the whole extent of emotion that I can bring in her by being in an El Salvador, fuck me in the ass prison. Whoa.
Nico.
But now that I see that part where there seems to have been violence between the two, as you said, she's probably like, maybe
She don't want him back,
him
but she don't
around, but I don't want him there either.
Right. And isn't that what you
that's
got,
my
though?
point.
Isn't that what you got from that?
But I got that as
Look,
we're talking.
I'll take over
as
from here.
We started but hold on. As we started talking, this is what I came up with. I'm like, oh shit, she was so unpleasant yesterday in the video. And now that I see that violence aspect, I can explain. I understand that video from yesterday. And now that guy, unfortunately for him, if that's the case and it's proven to be right, which it seems that it is, now the Trump administration has the perfect excuse to leave him there.
I'd like to make a statement, and it goes like this.
No statement for you.
Here it is. Ready?
Yeah.
I think Nico is a fantastic person. And I really want Nico to think that I'm a fantastic person too. And if Nico doesn't think I'm a fantastic person, please, pretty please, send me to El Salvador.
Mm-hmm.
That's
my point.
it's not for everybody, but I think we both agree, and I really hope Rob is watching this, and I hope Prairie's watching this. I love having her around. It looked like a woman who really didn't want him around her, but at the same time is like, what is this? Anything a motherfucker do, death, right? You're on a stop sign, El Salvador. It's like you telling the judge, I won't do it again. And the judge is like, I know. I know you won't do it again.
Yeah, you won't. It's just
have we become this country? Yeah. And as someone who identifies as being black, I tell all of my black brothers, no new tattoos. Don't hang around fucking Latinos with tattoos and Chicago Bulls hats, because white people see a Chicago Bull hat and tattoos and assume MS-13. Because this is Orwellian thing where they're testing the waters to see what they can get away with and going one step further and one step further. And one day ago, Trump actually literally said that he's okay with doing this with homegrown Americans. This is
that was taken out of context, though. I know the video.
Clear that up. No, clear that up.
No, but the video was put together. We showed the video yesterday on this podcast, and even Rob is like, "Oh shit! Did you see that clip? Like, there's a click between the two. Plus, it's the news anchor that says that." And then he's like, Trump has said that he would go after citizens. And then he plays a clip of Trump. He puts two clips together.
And I should know better.
So,
Nico, I should know better.
Well, that's why.
On election night, I had a 2-hour argument because I had a watch party on election night. And they're like, and this guy's like, when has the media ever lied about Trump? And I was like, okay, here's a recent example. He told Liz Cheney that if Liz Cheney feels so great, so hip about going to war, how about she grabs a gun and be on the receiving end of nine people that have guns and see how she feels? And the news the next day said Trump wants Liz Cheney to be executed by a firing squad.
Yep, I saw that.
Yeah, and I should have known better, because it's taking this man out of context. I don't like him, but again, my critical thinking skills are not a team sport. I don't. Right is right, is wrong, and I was wrong on that one. I should have known, because it's not the first time.
Shit happens, bro.
It's not the first time. I'm not saying all of them are lies, but I should know that there's enough. Yeah.
Well,
how many?
It is what it is, but that's
how many.
But bro,
that's like Joe Rogan saying like you should drink water every day, and then they're like, Joe Rogan suggests engine coolant.
Yeah,
like engine coolant. You should drink electrolytes from a car.
Sorry, Cheryl. This is long overdue for this comment. But Cheryl said, "Agreed, Nico. In my opinion, capitalism isn't the problem. I believe corruption is the problem. Obviously, I couldn't agree more. And unfortunately, humans are we all have a price, whatever the fuck that price is, right? So, yep, I agree with you." Cheryl also asked, "Did I watch the French debate yesterday evening?" No, I did not. This is gonna sound weird because I know you know that I'm French. But I do not enjoy French television. I do not watch French television. Like, I dislike hearing French people argue. I don't know why. I just don't like it. But I will be watching the one tonight. Not only am I going to be watching it tonight, but we will be showing it live. Rob and I, 6:45 p.m. tonight. We will have a watch party. Oh, bro, it's
is that 3:45 my time? Is that 3:45 my time?
Yes.
Are you in the East?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll watch.
So all I'm saying is that the French one to me doesn't have as much value as the English one. I want to see them perform in their original language, because it's not going to be the same for a bunch of non-Frenchies to speak French, right?
And don't they seem snooty? And don't they seem snooty the way that they talk? Like,
but they're slow. Like, they're going to speak super
right? Oh God, they're worse than the Brits.
Yeah. They're the same. Like, they're the same. Like my French is similar to the American English when it comes to the original tongue. So the way you see the Brit is the way we see the Frenchies, like the people from France. But at the same time, I like English better. It's easier to speak in English.
English is hard enough. English is hard enough.
But all to say,
you were in Alabama. What kind of English is in Alabama?
I don't know if it's called English, bro.
Right? The preacher man says it's the end of time, and the Mississippi River, she's growing dry, right? And
I
New
love it,
York's
though.
different, right? New York, I'm like, let's
Yeah.
say you fucking, let's say you
But
fucking, I don't know,
you know
you
what? I
fucking
love
did
it, though.
right?
I love accent. I love accents. I love if one thing I got to give to the South, yes, they have a very strong accent, but they're so polite.
So
Everybody
yeah.
calls other people sir, ma'am, sugar. You know
Yes.
how many times I've been gone, hey, sugar. I'm like, I fucking love it. Like an old woman that's like the age of my grandmother. Hey, sugar.
You're like, should I go to the dentist? This is the 15th time I got called sugar. Time is the dentist.
Shanita J. I don't think I've ever seen you. Is she one of your followers? Do you know her?
Shanita
You know
J is
Shanita
a
J?
volleyball player and is a detective for the NYPD.
Well, that is interesting. Hey, Shanita J, what's going on? First time listeners.
Yeah.
I've never seen you before because I normally remember. So welcome. Hello to you as well. Gadfly Bites is saying they are also wasting almonds. Almonds are delicious. Almond milk is a watery paste. I agree, bro. I agree. It's
I
fucking
agree.
nasty.
Thumbs down.
So
American
ter-
Idol judges, right?
Yeah,
Sorry,
terrible.
almond milk. You are not going to Hollywood. Sorry.
No.
So long.
No.
Run along. Move along.
Cheryl is saying that I will watch tonight. I did watch the French debate. Oh, good for you. You are more patient than I am. Good for you. Cheryl's also saying, Jason, it wasn't like that at all. They kept interrupting each other. She's probably talking about your Pepe Le Pew accent that you were the bad imitation that you were
You
making.
say Pepe Le Pew?
Yeah,
Oh,
you
who
like
doesn't
that,
love
huh?
that cartoon? Cheryl, do you remember the skunk? Come
Yeah,
on, Cheryl.
of course she does.
Go ahead.
So Cheryl's also saying, I don't prefer to watch French either, Nico. However, I was curious. Yeah, I agree. And I have a couple videos from yesterday, which I was laughing my ass off when I saw, but obviously I'll be watching tonight because again, it's their main tongue, that's their mother language, and this is where they're going to do better, right? They have no excuses. Oh, I wasn't sure what the proper word was, blah blah blah, because French is not their first language. So on that note,
can I say something funny about
NYPD?
Yeah,
Go for it.
There was a female cop trying to arrest the guy, right? And the guy was resisting arrest, and she screamed, she says, "Hey, I'm a female police officer." So you know what he did? He took the cuffs, he put his hands out and said, "I'm sorry." Probably because he was scared he's gonna get tased or shot, you know. But there was such a polite way how she said it. The guy felt like shit and was like, "I'm here, go ahead," you know. And I'm like,
funny.
wow, that worked. Nobody got beat up with a billy club. No one got choked.
It actually works out. Let's see here. Yeah, there you go. See, yes, I do. He kept chasing the cat. That's for you, bro.
You set my soul on fire.
There you go.
Burning.
We are all old enough to remember. Clown World, Sylvie, what's going on, Sylvie? There's a live stream of the French debate with instantaneous translation. The hilarious part was that they actually had a British dude translating for Blanchette. Blanchette's a French guy. So, that's funny. Well, Blanchette, I don't think it's for English.
Dude, we should have a British dude translate for Americans. I don't know if you ever saw the movie Bats. The butler was English. He says, your man says you are tripping because you're in Hollywood and he hopes you don't get played. And she's like, tell him I hope his mama don't get played. He says, she said she hopes your mama don't get played.
Something's lost in translation. And hello to you too, Sylvie. Now,
Bats people, Halle Berry.
We're 1 hour, 28 minutes in. I wanted to show, this is kind of a sadder part, but I'd like to get your opinion on this. This is about Patty Morin. You saw her in the previous video of, she was at the White House yesterday. She's the mother of Rachel Morin. The woman that was raped, murdered by an illegal immigrant a couple of years ago. And she gave a speech. Obviously, Trump had her at the White House to kind of try to explain why they're doing what they're doing. You know, all the illegals that they're trying to kick out. And, you know, I get it. Like you said earlier, it looks like what they're trying to do is the right thing. Are they making mistakes? Obviously they are. Like, we all make mistakes, but I wanted to, for the people that don't remember, here is just an update, not an update, but a refresher as to who Rachel Morin is and what actually happened. And then I'll show you a part of the video of her mother speaking. I haven't even watched it yet, but yeah. Here's a refresher.
Coming in overnight.
And by the way, this video is pretty new. Like, it's only it's only 2 days old. So it looks like the guy that murdered her was still not, like, just got found guilty like 2 days ago. And that happened in 2023, which is fucking insane if you ask me.
The man accused of murdering Maryland mother Rachel Morin has been convicted by a jury. It took the jury less than an hour to come to their verdict in the case against defendant Victor Martinez Hernandez. He was found guilty of killing Rachel, raping her, and kidnapping her. She was 37 years old at the time of her death and the mother of 5 beautiful children. She was out on a jog on a trail near Baltimore back in 2023 when this happened. And there were some other joggers who discovered Rachel's body on that trail after she was reported missing. It took several months to make an arrest, but thank goodness authorities got a DNA match from a home invasion in California.
I did not know that. That's how they fucking found him guilty. That's how they found him. Because not only did he rape and murder Rachel Morin, but he actually did a home invasion. Like, why the fuck was this guy still here? Like, this whole case blows my fucking mind.
How is he still alive?
And that
Where
led
did he home invade? Where did he home invade? San Francisco? Like Hermosa Beach, bust into someone's house here. This is like this nice neighborhood where I live in a dream.
You're gonna get
we're
shot.
Armed to the teeth here, but sorry, go ahead.
You're gonna get shot.
Yeah.
To the defendant's arrest in Tulsa. Once again, a guilty verdict in the murder of beautiful mother of 5, Rachel Morin. I want to bring in now a very special guest.
So here is just a little background on what happened with Rachel Morin. So she was raped, murdered on a jog, and the guy was finally found guilty, and somehow they identified him by matching his DNA to a home invasion that had taken place prior to him, because it had been months. They didn't know who actually had murdered her. It's insane. This whole thing is fucking insane. And the mother, Patty Morin, was at the White House yesterday where she gave a speech. Here's a portion of it. Like, the video is extremely long. Like, I think the original is 15 to 20 minutes, but here's a video. I haven't watched it yet. Chances are I'm going to skip over parts of it, but I cannot imagine being in her situation. But yeah, here we go.
Hello, Mom, Patty Morin, who's been through hell. Where's Patty? Patty, stand up, Patty. Please. Yes, her incredible daughter. And her daughter's looking down on Patty today. This was some day for you. And we appreciate it, Patty. And we're all with you 100%. And you are indeed an angel, Mom. Thank you very much.
And that's the only reason why I have taken and spoken about Rachel all this time. If you're a mother here in the room, can you imagine standing there alive, you're alive, and someone comes and puts their hands into your chest and rips out your heart? That's what it feels like. It feels like a part of you is being ripped out of you. You can't even describe the pain.
Patty should not have to be here today, but she is. And we are grateful and we are honored for her willingness and her request to share her powerful story with the world.
And that's the only reason why I have taken and spoken about Rachel all this time. If you're a mother here in the room, can you imagine standing there alive, you're alive, and someone comes and puts their hands into your chest and rips out your heart? That's what it feels like. It feels like a part of you is being ripped out of you. You can't even describe the pain. Why are we not protecting the American citizens? It's just common sense. Why are we not protecting our children? And to have a senator from Maryland who didn't even acknowledge or barely acknowledged my daughter and the brutal death that she endured, leaving her 5 children without a mother and now a grandbaby without a grandmother, so that he can use my taxpayer money to fly to El Salvador to bring back someone that's not even an American citizen. Why does that person have more right than I do, or my daughter, or my grandchildren? I don't understand this.
This is, this is a part where I think I don't want to say they're reaching, because I cannot imagine what she's gone through. As a mother, I will never claim to understand what she's been through. I hope that nobody else ever has to go through what she's been through. But I think we need to be very careful not to assume that Garcia guy, Abrego Garcia, is the same type of individual as the person that raped and murdered her daughter. Like, one was an illegal, the guy that murdered, and by the way, it's done on purpose. I'm not saying his name, because I will never say the name of murderers and rapists. I will not give them fame. But the guy that raped and murdered her daughter wasn't legal, shouldn't have been here in the first place. So I get what she's saying, and I couldn't agree with her more. It's just, I think it's dangerous. There needs to be a line in between that and a guy that was here legally. Like, that guy, as much as if it's true that he committed violence against his wife, should be sent back where he's from, he was still here legally. We just need to make sure to be very careful. And again, I'm sure that the original video is not like that. Like, that's a cutted video. Like, that's an edited video, and obviously it's right-leaning. It was right-leaning media that I used it for, that I got it from. And just like the Trump thing saying, "Oh, I'm going to deport citizens," was nicely cut to make him sound like he did that when he didn't. This could be the case here, but I'm just saying we need to be careful not to go after legal immigrant or legal people without due process. And we can't hate people just because they're immigrants, right? I just want to make sure that I cannot understand what she's gone through. Let me make sure that we all agree on this. But I'm wondering, did that feel like the Trump administration is using her on stage in order to push the message that happened to Garcia? Do you think that they're connected? Because it seems like that to me. I agree 100% about what she's talking about, because what happened to her. But it sounds
Nico,
like it was a perfect timing, right, to have her on.
Nico, this entire show, I've never heard a question that was so direct, right? But at the same time, so loaded. So allow me to just a little bit of time to get through this. First, the one thing I love about the law is that every now and then, and it seems like more often than not, you get to witness justice being done. Yep. Right? When people follow the law and follow the Constitution, these things, when you follow to a T and do things the right way, it is preventive maintenance from what happened, to prevent what happened to this this woman's daughter, who's the name Patty Morin. I'm glad you have it up. Now, the bad part about this is when you ignore the law, then all of the things like this happen. This man, the murderer Patty Morin, came in this country illegally. He broke the law. He should have been deported, right? He also broke laws that wound him up in jail that he should have been deported, right? That should have been deported then. There's so many instances where I will pay for that plane ticket myself to get him out of here, right? Forget the taxpayers' money. I'll front the bill on that one. I'll put his ass in a canoe, row his ass back to Cuba and then El Salvador. Who knows? Who cares? The law. This woman's daughter is dead because of the Commonwealth of the state of Oklahoma and the failure of the federal government. Blame it on Democrats, blame it on Republicans, no matter who's in office. This has been happening. They are failing Americans. Okay. Now that's the first part, because I wanted to say something nice about the law, because I believe in the law. And I think the law in its execution is a beautiful thing. And I will argue with you and Rob all day long about given circumstances and the execution of the tenets of the law. Now, with that being said, maybe this ain't on Trump, but it's definitely on the network. This was disgusting to use this woman as a prop and as a straw man fallacy, if not a non sequitur, to support to support some unfounded "I told you so" thing that has to do with with the news report they're talking about. You know, you understand what I'm saying? Like if JFK got shot in the head, and if you don't think Oswald made the shot, they call you a disgusting human being because a man died. It is true that a man died, but it is not logically connected to your theory on the how, right? People will say you're disrespectful to John F. Kennedy because you're floating conspiracy theories. And I am accusing that network of being disrespectful to that woman. Because I'm going to be a hypocrite here. I'm accusing that woman, that network, of being disrespectful to that woman, using her as a prop and it's a non sequitur, because these are two factual things that are not logically connected to each other. So by definition, this is a classic non sequitur. And I'm disgusted, and at the same time I'm heartbroken, because it reminds us that maybe in the sense I'm wrong, because it reminds us that there are things at stake if we don't follow the law. So if that was the intention of the news network, to say, look, how many of these, Lake and Riley, right? We're remembering names now. Forget the killers, because we'll never remember the killers, and we're not going to glorify them to your credit. But the names put a scar on your heart. It's the worst thing that ever happened to you that didn't happen to you, because you feel it. And at the same time, I'm bombing on this news network, but at the same time, I'm crediting them, because I think what they're trying to say is, how many times does this person have to do something worse to get national attention? All right, you're in this country illegally. I'm not. Fuck Democrats and Republicans. You're in this country illegally. Once you do that, you broke the law, and we have every right to send you back. Yep. Okay, then you get arrested again. Should have been sent then. You get busted again. Should have been sent then. Does someone have to die? And again, I sound like a hypocrite because I'm disgusted with this network, but at the same time, I get it. Does someone have to die? How many people have to fucking die to be like, yeah, this is a bad person, he should go to Colombia, you know? And you and I are sad because how many times does that have to happen? And we're going after people who, I don't care if this guy hit his wife. I don't care if he kicked Candace Owens in her left titty. You don't ship someone off to El Salvador without a trial. Now, this trial shouldn't have lasted this long, right? I know the defense is entitled to a speedy trial, and the prosecution, I don't know what the fuck you doing on your 9 to 5 as far as putting evidence together, but the jury deliberated in an hour. So the evidence
45 minutes. Yeah. It was done.
And by the way, this isn't even like a big threatening guy. Did you see the picture, the video of the guy?
Yeah.
That guy looks like he can't kill a turkey on Thanksgiving, much less hold a woman down, rape her, and kill her, right? So that guy's threatening. I can't even imagine how we feel about legit gang members who are armed, you know? So I'm heartbroken.
It is,
I'm disgusted.
I'm happy that you're able to put it in. No, but I appreciate that you're capable of putting into words, because I'm not able to. Like, I'm kind of rambling on this one, because this whole,
I have a daughter.
Whole thing, but it's more than that. Is, the left, the right media, doesn't matter. Media is very good at they know how to make you feel a certain way. They know how to cut videos properly. They know how to put it together in a way that they know is going to impact you. You know how many times are they going to say they're going to show you something and they make a reference that might or might not have anything to do with the last video, but because you're so emotionally attached to the last video, they know exactly how you're going to respond to their next statement, even though it might not have anything to do with the last video. They just know how to put you there, and that's how I feel. And I don't like to say this, like I don't like to base the way I am on feelings alone. I want to use logic. Man, it's we're watching a very interesting step in the US right now that could go fucking sideways.
Yeah.
Because on
Nico?
one side,
Yeah.
I fully understand why you need to get rid of those people, and I'll be the first one to praise Trump for wanting to remove those criminals when
all of
Biden
us
did
do.
not want to do it.
Even the
Credit like
Democrats
100%. The Democrats should agree 100% with what Trump is
behind
trying
closed
to do.
doors, they you
Yeah,
know
yeah,
what they.
sure,
Come on.
sure, because of stories like we just heard.
Yeah, Nico.
But at the same time, goddamn, we got to be
Please.
careful not to, right now, I'm not satisfied with the answers that we're getting from the Garcia case. I'm not. As a person, I'm not satisfied. If I was in the jury, I don't know that I would be satisfied either. Like, I don't have enough proof for me to make an opinion right now.
Just a guilty
But it
verdict, right? Yeah. Right.
Yeah,
Mhm.
but I'm bothered that they are attaching a story like hers, the story of Rachel Morin, to that. That bothers me.
Right.
It bothers me that the two
I'm
are
at least
attached.
happy that this, but I'm glad that this is a case that they're talking about the facts of the case led to a guilty verdict. What we're witnessing right now and is the pre-stages of a draconian totalitarian government because being held guilty by the media, which is what I, again, disagree with Rob vehemently. He took what the media said and established as fact, right? Nico, there could have been a double homicide in a home invasion, right? And they said, we're looking for this guy. If they put your picture up, and if they inflame it in the way where they already think you're guilty, the cops are going to be shoot on sight, right? And you might, like to them, look, the suspect was shaved head and a goatee, right? I'm like, okay, any old fucking Nico will do, right? Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, they're the process, the reason I started my diatribe talking about what I love about the law, and
Yeah.
what they're trying to do is they use this as a prop to try this gentleman or man or whatever you want to call him in the court of public opinion. And this is the dangerous part, because if you establish a precedent saying that we can use the suspicion of terrorism for everything, free speech is next. The First Amendment's next.
There's a fine line.
That's one of your jams. First and Second Amendment is your jam. The 1-2 punch. Nico always be my boyfriend because he's like, the Second Amendment is there because in case the First Amendment goes to hell. I was like, my man, my nigga, let's go.
It's just a very interesting situation that, once again, I don't have enough information to really have an opinion on, but I don't like the way it's playing out.
Right. No, but
that's it. That's all.
The genius of this podcast.
Yeah, I just don't know. I just
Right.
don't know. It fucking bothers me because I'm normally very good at researching and having an opinion on something based on the fact that I'm presented with.
Yes.
But right now I'm bothered. This whole thing bothers me. This whole Garcia thing bothers the shit out of me.
Mhm.
And I don't like it. It bothers me. It really fucking bothers me that I don't know. And I
Right.
don't know how to feel. I'm not letting my feelings take the decision for me, but it fucking bothers me.
No, but the genius of the Political Orphans podcast is that your first take allows you to shape the right question. What we've done,
100%.
unwittingly or not, I'm a
Yeah.
fucking dumbass from Brooklyn, but what we've done, unwittingly or not, was allow us to permission to think out loud where we're asking the right question.
Which
Maybe
is
the audience can
dangerous.
answer that in the comment
But
section, right?
it's-
Maybe we can all answer
it's-
this together. I don't know.
But it's dangerous when you think about it to do it that way, because this is how you say something that you're not too sure about live on camera. And I never delete anything, right? It's
No.
out there forever. Whatever I say is live. It's not edited.
No,
it's out there forever.
but if
It's
you're-
just, I just want to make sure that people
Right.
understand. If you listen to a part of this and you don't agree with me, no problem. People disagree with me all the time. I just want to put it into perspective that I don't fucking know how to feel about this, and it
Right.
bothers the shit out of me. So if you feel the same, we're on the same page. If your idea is done, because I know there's a lot of people that are like, fucking deport Garcia. I also understand. I can put myself in that side as well to say, if he indeed did violence to his wife, he should be sent back. No questions about it. So this is what bothers me about this case, because I'm torn between the two sides, and I don't know which one's right. It fucking bothers me.
But a year from now, this podcast is righteous because you're not coming up with your own conclusions. You raise the question. Yeah. That's all we can do. And that's what makes Rogan genius. That's what makes he's not out there forming his own conclusions. He's raising the question. And on YouTube, guess what? Someone corrects this. We did our part because no one else asked the question. Everybody else is drawing their conclusions without even knowing the facts. You know?
Agreed.
Sorry.
That's the whole point. No, but the whole point, you're absolutely right, is to bring up those questions, and hopefully that engages a conversation, proves me right, wrong, or just gives me more information. It's a win-win solution to me, but I'm just putting it out there.
It's better than any news channel's offering you. It's better than any news station that's lying with impunity. To us, and they have no accountability. No one cancels their show, Nico. No one suspends their accounts. These people get to lie, and you know what? And now the tide is turning because no one's watching their shows. CNN just fired is doing another overhaul. Their third in 3 years. Sorry, go ahead. Who do you got there? Who's our comment?
Joe Stradamus is saying, "Good afternoon. Are we back to fact-based universe today?" Yeah. I really like this guy. It's funny enough because Joe, when he first joined us, I think at least a month or two ago, him and I got into it. I ripped into him, and then he came back the day after, and we continued having conversations. So I like that. I like that I can rip into you. I can rip into Rob. I can rip into commenters. Yeah, and we can still have a conversation afterwards, because I never crossed that line of insulting people. Right? Like my goal is never to call you names and say you're this, you're that. I'm never going to do that. Yep. But I like it. Because Joe has brought some really fucking interesting points. So again, Joe Stradamus is saying, when ignorance, fear, and hatred is all you have to sell, you have to sell it hard.
Yeah, he's right.
That's what I'm saying. We have some very smart fucking listeners, man.
Yeah.
We have some.
But that's what the media is doing. Go big or go home. Do you appreciate why Fox isn't in trouble and CNN is? There, because CNN... I mean, I think here's the thing. I think if you cross, I don't mean to bring up Rogan again, but I feel like everyone that's crossed Rogan got canceled. And MSNBC said he predicted Kamala Harris would win, and they used a doctored video where he was talking about Tulsi Gabbard 5 years ago, and they ran that on a national platform, and on their clips, it's still up. Right? Yeah, who's going to believe you anymore? And you're right. I appreciate this guy. Critical thinking skills is not a team sport, brother.
Cheryl is saying, I get where you're coming from, Nico. Life experience has taught me that unless I was there and witnessed something, I will not know. All I have is an opinion. And I'm right there. I'm right there with you. Right there with you. So again, we have some very, very, very smart listeners, and I'm very grateful for it. And there's another video, man.
Share. Smash that like button, guys. Continue to share. Let's spread the love.
You know, one of the things that I saw about Patty Morin is that behind the scene, she led a prayer with all the people from the White House. They were all in the room, and she started praying. That part made me emotional. See, that I like. And it's unfortunate because that's not the video that's trending everywhere. Yeah. Which to me, that's the beautiful part. You have a woman that lost her daughter to a murderer, to somebody that raped and murdered her, that had 5 kids and even a grandchild. She still found the power within her to lead a prayer behind the scene for the
because we all know God's there. Even an atheist knows that God's there. Look, if you have people in California that don't believe in God, but when there was an earthquake, what were they doing? They were fucking praying.
God. Okay? Oh yeah, please God.
Bill Maher is an atheist, but for some reason believes that Jewish people have a biblical religious right to return to Israel, right? But I'm like that, and that's the atheist. So at the end of the day, we don't believe in God, but we love and fear him.
we don't believe in God until we need him to save our asses.
God is like, oh, you want something from me.
Now you want something from me. I
don't know where we are, but I got all day, but I want the last 60 seconds. You got another clip, but before this ends, you owe me 60 seconds. It's
no problem. No problem.
Okay, I have
No
a fuck with
problem.
Nico video for everybody. 'Cause you know I can't leave this
All
without
good,
fucking
bro.
with Nico. I have a 60-second
All
video
good.
for you, but go ahead.
I
What's the next
have this
what's
is
the next
it's funnier. It's about David Hogg. He said something yesterday, and David Hogg, to put it into perspective, if you don't remember who David Hogg is, he's an American gun control activist and vice chair of the DNC. He survived the Stoneman Douglas High School shooting where 17 people were murdered. Like, I'll show the video and you'll remember him. Like, he's been in the news every now and then for the past 5-6 years. Ever since that shooting, he was one of the main voices back then. But he is now the vice chair of the DNC, so he has an actual important role within the Democrat Party. And bro, he wants to replace old Democrats. It is the funniest fucking shit. I'm gonna run to the bathroom when this is running, but here's the video, and try not to laugh at this.
There are great older people in our party that are leading the fight against Donald Trump and have been doing so for nearly a decade at this point, like Congresswoman Pelosi. We also have people, obviously, like Jan Schakowsky and so many others that are meeting this moment. But the reality is, we know that only 27% of our base is approving of where we are right now as a party. And we lost voting shares with every single demographic except predominantly older voters and highly educated voters. That is a huge problem. And what we're trying to do here is not just focus on primaries where there's potentially an older incumbent, but more than anything, an ineffective person in that position, and replace them with a generational leader to build the future of our party. We're also focusing on competitive races to support the Democrat in those races.
Competitive general election races.
Yes, but we're not going to challenge the Democratic incumbent in those races. We do not want to lose the House here, but we want to help make sure that we win back the House. I even had a friend, which is part of the reason why I'm doing this, who called me from college a few weeks ago that said, David, I am so mad that my member voted a certain way and they're a Democrat. I want to primary them. And I said, whoa.
Oh, I'm such an idiot. My bad.
I got the entire audio though, but we can run it back if you want.
No,
But I got the
let me
entire audio.
replay. That's my bad. That's my bad. I'm an old man. I drink way too much liquid, man.
Yeah. I got
here it is.
podcast fodder, baby, all day.
Oh yeah. You need to see his face, because now you remember who this guy is. He's a bit older now.
Yeah.
They're trying to shape him into a better looking dude too. Like, I like the wavy hair. A la, we know the style he's going for, Gavin Newsom.
Yeah.
But they're shaping him into a very good looking young man politician, right? So let's replay this. I apologize for this.
There
but
are
let's go
great
again.
older people in our party that are leading the fight against Donald Trump and have been doing so for nearly a decade at this point, like Congresswoman Pelosi. We also have people, obviously, like Jan Schakowsky and so many others that are meeting this moment. But the reality is, we know that only 27% of our base is approving of where we are right now as a party. And we lost voting shares with every single demographic except predominantly older voters and highly educated voters. That is a huge problem. And what we're trying to do here is not just focus on primaries where there's potentially an older incumbent, but more than anything, an ineffective person in that position, and replace them with a generational leader to build the future of our party. We're also focusing on competitive races to support the Democrat in those races.
Competitive general election races.
Yes, but we're not going to challenge the Democratic incumbent in those races. We do not want to lose the House here, but we want to help make sure that we win back the House. I even had a friend, which is part of the reason why I'm doing this, who called me from college a few weeks ago that said, David, I am so mad that my member voted a certain way and they're a Democrat. I want to primary them. And I said, whoa, who is your member? And I looked it up, and it was a Democrat in a D+3 seat. And I said, I understand your frustration here, but what you need to understand as well is we may lose the House if you run here. So let me help figure out what you can run for, because there is a growing movement of that happening across our party. And I do not want that to happen. But we have to show our base how we are changing and how we are meeting in this moment to fight back, because we're losing our young people too. They're losing faith in democracy. And
they are definitely losing faith in democracy.
Is showing them how we are using democracy to rebuild and revive the American dream that they feel like is a farce to them.
What do you feel like? What are you thinking after hearing this guy basically saying that in order to regain the trust of our base, we need to go more woke? That's basically what he said. We need to go more left. Don't listen to Bill Maher that's saying, you know what, guys, we need to go back to a time where we were classical liberal. We believed in freedom. We believe in small government. We believed in accountability. We believed in free market. No. Fuck that guy. Let's go more woke. Like,
Yeah. May I?
of course, it's for you, bro.
You mentioned something about his Gavin Newsom style hair, right? And the reason why I'm glad he's got that hairstyle is because he can now hide the fact that people don't see him talking out of both sides of his heads, okay? He's got a mouth in the back of his head hidden by that genius hairstyle. And he's saying one thing and then he's saying another. For example, he's saying we need fresh blood in there. And then 20 seconds later saying, no, we don't run against incumbents, right? And if you want the Democratic Party to change, we do need new faces in there. We need people we can trust. We need people with energy. We need people, you're promising your party change, but you keep enlisting the same people to implement that change. And this guy's too risky and that guy's too risky. For example, Henry Cuellar in Texas, Nancy Pelosi financed him $2 million against a progressive candidate in a runoff. And he's pro-life. Right. So all they're showing is that we want new faces, but we want to make sure our aristocracy, our party that looks at you like little children and says you don't know better. We'll tell you what's good for you, but you can't do that if again, to my next point, if the majority of your constituents have college or are supposedly educated, which leads me to my next point. If you're only going to focus on the educated, if that's going to be your demographic, you're going to lose, because I believe only 23% of the United States has a bachelor's degree, right? And a bachelor's degree, if you have a heartbeat, I have some pretty dumbass fucking friends, dumb as fucking disco, so fucking stupid. I have friends that are so stupid. I went back to college because I was like, how hard can that be to get my BA or BS? I'm going back, right? Now your master's degree, yeah, you gotta focus, but you and I can sit in the class, do a little homework, and swagger our way to a 3.3. All right. I graduated with a 3.71, dude, GPA, right? Which is close to magna cum laude. And that was just being a Brooklyn kid. So my point is, this kid is going to be part of the problem and not the solution, because what he's saying is contradicting what the incumbents he's supporting are saying differently. Chuck Schumer basically said, for every one blue collar guy we don't get, fuck them, we're going to get 2 white collar guys, which makes no mathematical sense, because the United States country is powered on blue collar people. And by the way, blue collar people, like an architect, a real estate person, they're making significantly more money than people who are in college debt with their fucking BS, MS, PhD, which means bullshit, more shit piled high deep. I'm in acronym hell here, Nico. So all this man showed is that the Democratic Party is filling themselves with more dumb, smart people. If you look at the Republican, the young people from the Republican and the way they're speaking from ages 20 to 40, Candace Owens, you look at Charlie Kirk, who I can't fucking stand. You look at Rubin, you look at some of these guys. I won't use Shapiro because Shapiro is a lizard person. He's not like, I mean, he's not even like a real person. But if you look at the young faces, the reason why the Republicans are winning is because their young faces are brighter minds. When Obama ran and when Clinton ran, you had young Democrats just making sense, galvanizing a population of voting. And it's like, fuck these old people, right? I don't want people making decisions that are going to be for me that aren't going to be here 10 years from now. And do you see the ultimate reversal, right? First, the ultimate reversal was free speech. Then the ultimate reversal was anti-war. And now we have an ultimate reversal where I can't believe the stupid party is now enlisting more smart people than the alleged smart party.
And, it's what's funny about what you're saying is that this is actually happening in Canada right now. There's somebody with a good audience on Instagram that we follow each other. She sent me something this morning just after I saw the actual videos, but there's a new movement, which we're going to be talking about tomorrow with Rob, since it's Canadian politics, but they're starting a new movement on TikTok. They're first-time voters that are recording videos for their parents and their grandparents, urging them to vote conservative and stop thinking that the liberals that they are voting now are the same liberals from 20 years ago. So exactly what you're talking about right now, we are seeing those young, educated. So the same people that Hogg is saying that they're losing, instead of admitting that they're losing those people because they're actually using their minds and being critical thinkers and saying, whoa, the Democrats don't represent me at all anymore. Like, what the fuck's going on here? We have the same thing happening in Canada. Young minds are creating videos trying to talk to their parents and convince them, stop voting for the liberals because they are not the liberal of 20, 30 years ago.
And
the dream that you had to be able to afford a house on a single income because you worked at a factory is not a reality anymore. This is not the
right.
It
And I'm
needs,
failing you.
and it needs to change. Yes, and it's
I'm
exactly
failing
it.
you.
Yep,
I'm failing
and
you.
I've
I'm
been
supposed to
saying
be the
this.
lefty on this show. I'm supposed to be the lefty
Yep.
on this show. I
No,
am
but
failing the Political Orphans podcast because these
No, you're
people
not.
made me a bitter bitch. Okay?
But it's common sense, right? And what I find interesting about the videos that we'll talk about tomorrow is that they're appealing to them as in, instead of thinking about you, think about us. And I've been saying this for weeks now. I've been addressing the baby boomers directly, saying, hey guys, you guys are still voting for the same liberals, thinking that they're the same liberals, yet they're the ones that destroyed their country for the past 10 years. It's not a big bad orange man in the US. It's you. It's the people you voted for. Now your kids that are going to inherit this fucking pile of shit that you're giving them are telling you,
David Hogg.
Wake the fuck up. Wake the
Hogg.
fuck up.
And this video alone, this guy showed his whole ass saying we need new talent, but not these
But he won't
guys.
do it.
These guys get to stay. How you can't have that shit, but you can't say we need new talent, but leave this guy alone because Trump. What or I don't know what the hell he's saying. And I just want to cite for the record, because I said this previously. Look, I'm not a registered Democrat. I'm registered no party preference, but my voting record says I vote more Democrat than Republican. And my frustration is Mitch McConnell didn't promise us Medicare for all, right? Donald Trump didn't promise us a college tuition to be wiped clean. Kirsten Sinema didn't promise a livable wage. Bernie Sanders did. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez did. Bad luck Chuck Schumer did. Gavin Newsom did. So these people promise you the world, right? And then that you vote for them. And when it's time to get on the floor and vote, or at least put the vote on the floor, what do these people do? They fucking fold like accordions. And then for the third election in a row, they're basically saying we might suck a little bit, which means a lot, but we're not Trump, and they're 1 for 3. And if you're
Actually,
really
I go further than that. We do suck, but at least we do suck, but at least we swallow.
Yeah. Don't even swallow. These people are spitters. Spitters are quitters, dude. Spitters are quitters. Okay, we gotta look. See what Nico did? Got me off. All right, come on. I kept it neat and clean for Eugene. I even said I loved you without talking about sex.
But the same thing that's going on in Canada is happening in the US, or vice versa, however you want to put it. And Hogg is biting down on the same solution by exposing that he's full of shit. He's saying that the most educated people are the only ones still voting for him, while taking them for idiots. It is so ironic when you break down what he said.
If you don't, you're uneducated. Because if you don't vote for me, you're uneducated. That's what he's saying.
So you're pretty much saying that my education makes me an idiot. That's pretty much what you're saying. Because if I believe you, as in Hogg, you're an idiot. He's literally saying two different things in a minute.
At least
Sylvia is saying,
go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, Sylvia is saying, but if we had a young people movement convincing their parents to vote for somebody like Pierre Poilievre, are we really more ahead? Which the first part, actually, join us tomorrow. I'll run the videos, but you're absolutely right. So in the first part, yes, we do have a movement that's starting, and the kids, or they're not kids, they're first-time voters, are trying to convince their parents to vote for Polyev. Now, yes, this is happening right now. The second part is, are we really more ahead? You know, this is a thing. What we're facing right now in Canada between the Liberals and the Conservative is really similar to what happened in the US. Although Trump, in my opinion, is more of a leader, like him or hate him, he has more of a backbone than Pierre Poilievre. Like, you know what he stands for, and he's not going to apologize for having a backbone. Agree with him or not, he's still a leader, and he's ready to do what it takes to get the changes that he wants. Again, agree with him or not, you can't take that away from him. The problem with Poilievre is that he's soft. He will flip-flop all over the place. He never stands for anything. He's a weak leader, and that bothers me. Now, would you want to vote? Is it really more ahead if they vote for him? The point is this. It's two parts, right? The first part is that you have young conservatives. They're young. They don't know better yet. But they know enough to know that 10 years of liberals cannot continue. That's the first part. So they're realizing that there's a problem. They're seeing it. And that's the first step. There's a problem. Are they right about the solution? No. But they still see that there's a problem. So I will be behind that movement to encourage them to question. Because they've been told by more than 2 generations now that conservatives are no good. So both their parents and their grandparents are telling them, we want to vote liberals because that's the right thing to do. Now the kids are like, no, it's not. And you need to change because you're not the one that's going to inherit this mess. I will. Obviously, they're not phrasing it that way because, again, they're young. They're not there yet. They're not wise. And I'm not saying I'm wise. I'm just saying I'm a bit wiser than them. But at the same time, they're recognizing that there's a problem and they know how to address it, as in, I will talk to my parents. I will talk to my grandparents because that's what you control, right? I can't control the world, but I can control my family. I can try to influence them. I have somewhat of control over them, as in I have influence over them. So yes, I'm happy to see young people doing that with their parents. Are we really more ahead? I think that Pierre Poilievre is not a game changer like a Trump, for example. Trump is going to move the needle. No questions about it. Love him, hate him.
Yeah,
he ain't staying. It's not good.
He got the 6 stones. He snapped his fingers. Yeah.
Oh fuck yeah. He is not a status quo guy. I think we can all agree to that. Pierre Poilievre is a status quo guy. He's not going to move the needle, but to his credit, I believe that he will stop the bleeding. That's the thing, right? He's not going to move the needle to the right where it could go back somewhere in the middle, but he will not make it worse. That's what I believe. I might be wrong. Time will say. But at the same time, you know, as you said, you don't like Trump, but goddamn, you're happy that Kamala Harris didn't win. This is how people are seeing the liberals in Canada. Yeah, but that's how this is where most of Canadians, at least a lot of Canadians, are right now. I don't necessarily like Pierre Poilievre, but goddamn, I don't want another liberal in power.
It can't stay the same.
Exactly. And as much as I agree more with a guy like Maxime Bernier, that is an actual more of a conservative guy, he's not going to win the election. So that's where the people are like, they're going to vote conservative.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's a catch-22. You're voting for the lesser of two evil, but I do like the fact that we're seeing young minds being critical.
I'm so glad you said that.
Going against their parents and just say, you know what? I don't agree with you. Here is why. Because those videos are good. Like, I was watching them. Obviously, they don't have our experience to be able to formulate their opinion in a way that is, but they make it. What's interesting is that they want them to vote for a conservative government, yet at the same time, they're using their feelings just like the liberals and the Democrats are very good at doing. This is what's very interesting about those videos. They're trying to relate with their parents on an emotional base instead of being logical. Now, is it because they're young and they don't understand what they're doing? Because, you know, as Churchill said, if you're in your 20s and you don't vote liberal/Democrats, you have no heart. If you're not in your 40s, if you're not a conservative, you have no head. So is it that they're voting, they're talking like that to their parents because that's all they know? or do they realize that that's how their parents communicate? Because most
No,
liberal/conservative base their opinion on their feelings, not facts. Either
Right.
or, I'm just happy that they're doing it. No matter the reason why, I'm just happy they're doing it.
Well, listen, the facts, they say facts don't care about your feelings. And I think that's false, because facts actually make you feel a certain way. And even though the facts,
Sure.
the facts is an abstract entity that we don't care about, we don't have to feed, right? You know what I'm saying? But they make you feel a certain way. For example, the lesser of two evils. And Cheryl, this is very important. Some people say voting for the lesser of two evils is still voting for evil.
Sorry to cut you off.
Sylvie, got you. They say if you're voting for the lesser of two evils, you're still voting for evil. But I don't want you to look at it that way. I want you to look at it in terms of you're giving up something, but for your vote, you're at least getting something back. And the reason why the Democrats are failing is because there are people that have compromised, that know they have to give up something, but at least they know they're getting something for their vote. And then when 4 years go by, you're not even getting that something. You gave up other things that you weren't comfortable. Like like 2020 was, we don't want Trump for Biden, right? So it's a swallow and spit. We know Biden's entering November on a dementia drumstick, but we decided even that version of him is still better than Trump. And at least there's like a cabinet that we're going to lose some things and we're not going to, but at least, hey, day one, they promised student debt. Day one, they promised a livable wage. So you're losing this, you're losing that. We're in, you're in these regime changing wars, but you're like, let's vote for this. And then the next election, if someone comes better, we vote for that. And the reason why Nico is criticizing the Democratic Party is because you got one party that's pointing their finger from this high place, but don't have solutions. And then you got the Republican. It's like, we can't stay the same. And they come up with solutions that are not always right. So you got one party with not a lot of brain power behind their decisions, and the other party with no balls, actually no testicular fortitude to do anything except pass judgment on why everybody else is wrong. And here we are. And I don't even feel like I answered your question, but the question itself is what this podcast is about. Raise that question. And everyone watching this, leave this podcast. Let's answer that question together.
But I'd rather be ballsy and try shit and fail than not have the courage to even show up to the game, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Hopefully that somewhat answers your question, Sylvie. Joe Stradamus is asking.
Yeah.
No, bro, I have messed up more than I succeeded, but you know what? I'll never stop trying. Never. Joe Stradamus is saying white collar people make far more money than blue collar people, so Dems want to reach them. However, a reality they have forgotten is that there are 99 workers for every manager. Trump's people figure that out.
We have I agree
right?
and disagree, because when you say white collar workers, there is no middle class in the United States. People with college degrees are making the same money as a welder. Now, if you're speaking in terms of the elite, like Bill Gates, who never even graduated college, right? So, or people who have generational wealth, that's an open discussion. I'd like to do it another time. I think that'd be its own subject matter, because in the last 4 years, during the Democratic administration, the largest transfer of wealth happened to the 1%.
But I do believe that what Joe, you correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that Joe's referring to really the label that we put as a blue collar, obviously somebody that works with their hands, white collar, somebody that sits at a desk, right? I think that's the whole, if you want to break it down. But at the same time, it's interesting because there's a lot of studies that are coming out where exactly what you're saying, that a blue collar person, a welder, somebody that builds houses, a carpenter, is making more money than, because they have a skill that is actually needed compared to a lot of the diplomas that are being given right now that have no real life application. Once you're done studying, you're like, hey, I owe $100,000 and I have no fucking skills. Like, one of my ex is a doctor, and when I met her, she was 32 years old. And she had just graduated. She had been in school her whole life, but she had done a specialization. So she had been in school until 32 or 33. She got out with more than $100,000 of debt. Took her less than a year to pay it back because she was a fucking doctor making more than $500,000 a year.
So what we call a working professional. right?
Yeah, but at the same time,
lawyers,
what I'm
right?
saying is
People
that
working professionals.
she was a doctor, she was an anesthetist. It's very needed, it's very in demand. So she knew she'd make money, and that 100 grand disappeared. Banks were approaching her, giving her unlimited credit because they knew she's a
good for it.
fucking doctor. Yeah, exactly. So this is where, but I believe, Joe, you correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that's where Joe was coming with this. Cheryl is saying, I agree with you with Pierre Poliev, Nico. Nico, did you see the Max interview by Tucker Carlson yesterday? I haven't not watched it yet, all of it, but there's a clip I want to play 2 more clips before we go, and one of them is from the Tucker
Cheryl,
Carlson.
watch Tucker Carlson's interview with Dave Smith. It's fantastic. Go ahead.
Cheryl's also saying, Nico, in my opinion, good parents want a better life for their children, but that's you're bang on, and I couldn't agree more, and that's why the problem that I'm seeing in Canada is related to the baby boomers. They are the problem because they keep on voting for the same people, thinking that they are the same people they used to be, and they're not. And Cheryl's also saying that in Canada, people in the trades often make much more than university educated office workers. Oh yeah, and especially in a situation where their diplomas are useless. Like we're talking about a doctor that has applicable, that's a real diploma.
Do not major in theater
I like how you
okay?
you gave the little wrist there, you homo. Hey. Yeah, exactly. And Cheryl's saying that she'll check out the video you were talking about. So Canada
Dave Smith has been
election,
knocking people to fuck out.
daily Canadian election update. We're running late, but I'll make sure. There's 2 videos. I won't provide much commentary on them. I don't think they need them either way. But 2 videos. First video I wanted to show, it's from the French debate yesterday, is when Mark Carney, our Prime Minister, was asked a question by True North, which, for your information, True North is more right-leaning, independent media. Like they're media that were started by regular people, and now they have a good size, but they were invited at the debate, and they asked him a very simple 2 simple questions. The first one he answered, the second one danced around the question, and it just goes to show how full of shit a lot of the woke left is. And it's just, again, I found it to be extremely hilarious. Here you go. That's the first video. That's Mark Carney.
If you thought my friend's question was odd, you're going to love this one.
I'm glad you self-assessed that. Okay.
How many genders are there?
Hold on, I'll let you laugh. But no, hold on. It gets better. So listen to this.
In terms of sex, there are 2. Thank you.
My follow-up question then, do you believe that women, biological women, have the right to their own spaces? Their own sports, their own change rooms, their own prisons, their own homeless shelters?
I think this is Canada, and that as a general objective, yes. But we work in where we value all Canadians for who they are, and we'll continue to do so. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That guy's running for office.
No, that guy's Prime Minister. That's our Prime Minister.
That's Carney.
Yeah, that's Mark Carney. Yep. Your face is awesome. It explains exactly. So the first one, did you see how he spinned it? Like, how many sex are there? There are only 2 genders. He did not say sex, like he protected himself. But then
the man has no charisma. If someone asked me how many sexes there are, I'd be like, if you're talking in terms of my wife, I would say 4 times a week. What are you asking me? You know what I'm saying? I would at least spin it and then get serious, you know? Like, what a fucking weak, what a weak Prime Minister. And strength is everything. Like Trump, I would never vote for that guy, but no one would ever accuse him of not being strong. Like, there's strength in his face. Obama, there's strength in that. Like, the rest of the world was like, who's the U.S. president? Obama. Cool, that guy. Okay, we're good. You know. So, but sorry, go ahead.
It's just you're saying hilarious. It's I really liked it. Now, this is a video that was Cheryl was talking about it. She was asking if I watched the interview with Tucker Carlson and Maxime Bernier, which is a guy we've had on the show before. We're gatekeepers. We're star makers. Fuck. Rob had a good expression, but either way, here's Maxime Bernier, Tucker Carlson yesterday, where Maxime Bernier is calling. So this was Carney. That's our prime minister. That's the Liberal Party. He is calling Pierre Poilievre, the leader of the Conservative, the guy that I think is spineless, a fraud. There you go. Let's watch this. This is our last video for today.
He seems like a true fraud to me, like a pretty sinister fraud.
But, he's doing a campaign against Trump. Because
how about stopping immigration from India and Pakistan? Is that
first, please, yes, first.
But that's not even a consideration.
No, they are pandering. The Liberals and the Conservatives are pandering to these ethnic communities for votes. Poilievre said we need to have 250,000 foreigners a year, plus international students, plus temporary foreign workers, plus refugees. That will be about 1.5 million foreigners over 3 years. That is mass immigration. In the middle of a mass immigration crisis, we cannot afford that.
Who's paying him to do that? No one in Canada is benefiting from this, so why would Poilievre and Trudeau be embracing the same policy that everyone hates and is destroying Canada?
Yeah, you have a point there. 70% of the population in Canada are saying no to mass immigration.
So, this is interesting because, hold on, let me just show this. And Sylvie is saying that conservatives have had a meltdown over this interview, and it's true. I took that from a conservative page earlier, and you should have seen the comments. The comments are just like, oh, fuck that guy. Maxime Bernier is a hire from the Liberal Party. He's trying to make the conservative look bad and blah, blah, blah. And, when we had Maxime Bernier on the show, we asked him about vote splitting, like, why would people vote for you when we really want to get the Liberals out? And he's like, it's not my fault that the Conservatives are not real conservatives. If I'm more conservative than the Conservative, there's a problem, because that guy's a libertarian. He's not even a conservative. He's literally middle of the way. But the people that are called conservative, or that call themselves conservative under Pierre Poilievre, are left of him. So you can't be conservative and be left of libertarian. Conservative belong right of libertarians. But it's funny that Sylvie is absolutely right. Conservatives are going crazy in Canada. They're looking at this. They're calling Maxime Bernier all the names in the world, saying he's a fraud, he's a this, he's a that. Yet, you know what, guys? I've been saying this for months. Pierre Poilievre's not a real conservative.
No,
he's not. So if there's one fraud in this, it ain't Maxime Bernier, because he doesn't claim to be a conservative. It's Pierre Poilievre that claims to be a conservative, yet is a liberal in hiding.
Just move to America, Nico. Get the fuck out of Canada. You got these people taking pictures with truckers today and be debanking them tomorrow. I mean, you got some crazy motherfuckers. You got people calling Elon Musk a Nazi, but gave a fucking real Nazi a standing ovation. Why are you in that fucking country?
And
it's That's why I'm not trying to make you sad, because I know
no. It's we're really here because my wife has not spent. She only spent 6 months with her family in the past almost 3.5 years, and she's Italian, right? She lived at home until she met me and moved to my house. So, but she's also pregnant, right? We're going to give birth to the kid, and then we don't know what we're doing. The 28th is going to be very revealing. We'll see.
Listen, whatever Canada does, don't lose your smile. I have a friend, Theo Brunner, who's a professional beach volleyball player that gets booed or like cheered against at every event. And he said, I'm just going to play with a Canadian next year. He enlisted a guy, Kame Shaw, who played in the Olympics for Canada. And all of a sudden, there's a little more cheer, but they all stop booing, because we don't boo Canadians in America unless they show their whole ass to us in a way that affects our everyday operation. I have a 60 second
comments for you. But that comment is for you. Cheryl was saying, Jason, he wasn't elected. The prime minister was not elected. He was selected by the Liberal Party, which was about 150,000 people voted, were part of the voting. So what she's saying is that Trudeau, by stepping down, created a run to the Liberal Party.
Right.
And whoever won the Liberal Party selection automatically became prime minister.
Right.
But that guy has never been voted by normal Canadians. He's
it
never
was
been
a
through an
pluralistic.
election process.
So it was a pluralistic selection.
Imagine that, we don't have the president VP in Canada. So in your case, if Trump would be to step down for whatever reason, automatically JD Vance would be up, and he's been elected. Like
And
he
then
was on the bill. Yeah.
But Pelosi's after them, Speaker of the House. Sorry, go ahead.
But he was on the bill, right? So he was selected. He was chosen at the same time as Trump. He was VP.
Right.
But imagine that. You mean Michael? What's his last name? Thank you,
Johnson.
So imagine that. Biden. You know what happened with Kamala Harris, where she took the place of Biden? Imagine that she became president without ever being voted for by the American people. So they would have. So it's just you guys don't have that.
But
So
why
it's
do you
very
think Biden
foreign.
didn't step down? He stepped down from running again. He didn't step down as president. That was because
that's what I was worried about, is that he was going to step down and she would automatically become president. Oh, but Jesus.
And I can't believe these stupid people didn't see this woman was being shoved down everyone's throat. Someone no one wanted was don't get me started. That's a whole nother episode. That was funny. That was hilarious.
Shanita J saying yikes. So I wonder which part. That's probably the answer to, is there more than two sex? Like how many sex are there? So I would imagine
Kamala could have just been president.
That message, that comment is from like 6 minutes ago. So I would imagine that's it. Cons are having a meltdown over this interview. Yeah, they are. Definitely are. I wish the prime minister would have said what he actually thought versus the answer to gain votes. I don't know that he would answer that question because he's a liberal now. And Pierre Poilievre, the conservative, has danced around that question too, which I had made a video calling him out on that one, saying, bro, you had the perfect opportunity to just say there's two sexes. Anything more than that is it doesn't exist. It's dementia. You have a problem. You need medical attention if you believe that there's more than two sexes, plain and simple. But he didn't do that. Cheryl is saying that, hold on, I'll just take those two and then you can go. Nico, we have a deputy prime minister, but she had already stepped down. Yeah, surprise, surprise, right?
Oh.
Mr. Robot, honestly, we just have too many issues in Canada in terms of our electoral system and Canadian Constitution. How is it fair that Ontario and Quebec basically decides the federal election? You're absolutely right, bro. I don't know. I'm from Quebec, man, and I cannot stand the average Quebecois. And it blows my mind that we are the biggest fucking complainers in Canada, yet we get one of the biggest equalization payment for contributing nothing except complaining, while Alberta is being forced in a situation where we don't want to dig, and we're literally killing their economy. Bro, I'm right there with you. I know exactly what you're saying, and I agree with you 100,000%. And thanks for your comment. I don't remember seeing you before, Mr. Robot, but I appreciate you being here. Hopefully we'll see you again. Cheryl agrees. And Sylvia is saying that Pierre Poilievre's a coward. We agree. You have a video for us? Because we're way past.
If he could shoot an egg out of his ass, he would. He is a chicken. All right. So listen. Listen. Rob's not here, and and I'm here, and sometimes Nico wants to make sure men behave like men, and maybe Nico might show some contempt that we're in touch with our feminine side. So, Nico, we're gonna go full camera on me. This is for you.
I'm a man.
I'm a man.
I love that one.
Man.
And I'm man enough. I'm man enough to enjoy a barrel-proof bourbon.
Neat.
Man enough to cook my steak rare.
Man enough to deadlift 500, then braid the out of my daughter's hair.
You think I'm afraid to rebuild a carburetor? I eat carburetors for breakfast.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
Hey, another thing I sure as shit am not afraid of. Women. I'm not afraid of women. I'm not afraid of women.
They want to control their bodies? I say go for it.
They want to use IVF to start a family? I'm not afraid of families.
They want to be childless cat ladies?
Have all the cats you want.
Woman wants to be president?
Well, I hope she has the guts to look me right in the eye and accept my full-throated endorsement.
Because I'm man enough to support women.
Man enough to know what kind of donuts I like.
Man enough to admit I'm lost, even when I refuse to ask for directions.
Man enough to not ban young women from reading Little Women.
Or one of those pants books that the sisters like.
I'm man enough to raw dog a flight. It sucked. Not worth it.
I'm man enough to be emotional in front of my wife.
In front of my kids.
In front of my horse.
What?
I'm man enough to tell you that I cry at Love Actually.
Goodwill Hunting.
West Side Story.
That and Predator.
And I'm sick of so-called men domineering, belittling, and controlling women just so they can feel more powerful.
That's not how my mama raised me.
I love women.
I love women who support their families.
Women who decide not to have families.
Women who take charge.
And I'm man enough to help them win.
That's for you, Nico. And I'd like to leave by saying these very two important things. One, are they man enough to do that promotion for free? No, you're paid fucking hacks and you're showing your feminine side in a bad way. And that's where my sexist nature comes out. And two, Nico, you'll love this. You can't spell carburetor without carb.
You know, it's funny because how much do you want to bet that every single guy in that video was raised by a woman with their dad absent?
We will
just
we'll
the way
know.
that
They were paid. They were paid.
But
We'll
just,
never know.
but just the way they're acting, those guys did not have a masculine man in their lives.
Well, if they're raised by a woman, they do it for free. Right?
Agreed. And Sylvia's saying those guys are gay. Gay!
Hey, no, it's just their husband. Only their husbands are gay. They're not gay, okay? It's just one dick. It's just one dick.
Very nice. Very nice, Sylvie. Well said. You're reading my mind.
All right. Did we take this as far as we can go?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're way over, but hey, people stick around, so we continue doing it.
Oh man, I love you guys. I love the shit out of you.
Thank you, guys. Yeah, thank you for being here, guys. 6:45 tonight, like 4 hours from now. Rob and I will be back. We will be covering the election, the debate, the English debate of the election. So join us. We'll be having a watch party. We'll just shoot the shit. We'll have fun and we'll talk. We'll comment on the bullshit that they're spewing. But join us 6:45 p.m. Eastern time.
The A-team's back, baby. It's Robin, Nico. The A-team's back.
Yeah. Jason, thanks for being here, man. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining everybody that's on our show. Guys, you have no idea how much it means to us. We're fucking blessed to have intelligent listeners like you guys. And hopefully you'll join us tonight. If not, we shall see you tomorrow.